overseas and at home. We ask you to please comfort their families in their absence. And God, help us when we see differences in each other to see your fingerprints upon us, that we're all unique and different, but we are all loved, that all lives truly matter and we are never alone. In Jesus Christ's name, through the Holy Spirit, ladies and gentlemen, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome United States Marine Corps veteran and retired Massachusetts State Trooper, Daniel M. Clark.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free? And the
is passion as we get ready for race number 2 of the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship.
Everybody ready, set, go. Rev it up and let's roll. There's a party in the fast lane. Got my hands on the wheel and I'm flying. Heartbeat loud as the thunder rolls. Riding in on a stampede of lightning roll. I'm bringing back the sunshine. Bringing back the sunshine. Baby, it's about time. Whoa. Bring it back. Oh, yeah.
Welcome to NBCSN's coverage of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series racing from New Hampshire. A perfect afternoon for racing as we get ready for the second race of the chase. Let's go trackside to Mike Massaro.
One question that a lot of people are asking after last week is the 48 team and Jimmy Johnson back to championship form? It certainly looked that way at Chicagoland Speedway when he led a race-high 118 laps. Yet to come home with an 8th place finish was disappointing. Jimmy Johnson told me this morning he's hungry to make up for that and get back to the championship table. He wants to be among the championship 4 getting to Homestead. Today will be a big step in that direction as he looks for his 4th New Hampshire win. Kelly?
Mike Kyle Larson has some points to make up if he's to advance to the round of 12 in New Hampshire. Hasn't been one of his better racetracks. But crew chief Chad Johnston told me they came here with a new philosophy and setup, and the 42 is both fast and comfortable to drive, and it shows. Kyle Larson fastest in every practice session this weekend, and he starts 6th today, Dave.
Kevin Harvick's poor finish last week has him just below the cut line to make it into the round of 12. But he's fast this weekend, and crew chief Rodney Childers expects him to get to the front before it's all over today. Marty?
Dave, what does Carl Edwards have here at New Hampshire? Well, speed. He's won 3 of the last 4 poles here. What does he not have? A win here. He told me, I've had to totally revamp my approach to the race here and try and get a win, the first one at New Hampshire. Time to get the engines cranked up and get race number 2 started in the chase.
Race fans, the moment has arrived. Here to give the command to start engines, please welcome your Grand Marshal, President and CEO of Textron Specialized Vehicles, Kevin Holleran.
New Hampshire, say it with me. Drivers, start your engines.
Fired up.
16 drivers, all with the same goal at year's end. Only 9 races remain before we decide who will be the 2016 champion. The next race in front of them, Loudon, New Hampshire. New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Green flags next.
Own the King's car. Now through September 27th, hustle over to any of the participating stores, grab some Smithfield products, and you're entered to win the replica of the King's 67 Belvedere. For details, go to winning43.com.
I don't think you can take anything for granted with so much on the line. You got to do everything right.
Bring her to the line, my chase winner. Hell yeah!
You know that every lap counts.
Oh, no! No, there's no way!
Slightest mistake can take you right out. Your entire season can be over.
If you don't have a win, anything that goes wrong is magnified.
Performing in pressure situations is pretty much what racing's about.
Welcome back to the Magic Mile in Loudon, New Hampshire, as we get ready for the second race of the chase. Let's take a look at the starting grid, brought to you by Nationwide. Up front, Carl Edwards. It's his third pole in the last 4 races here, but he's never won at this racetrack. He'll start next to Martin Truex Jr., who locked into the round of 12 with his win last week.
Directly behind them in row 2 is Ryan Newman, starting next to Jimmy Johnson, who's needing to take advantage of some newfound speed.
Row 3, we have 2 chase contenders, both looking for their first championship, Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson.
Back in row 4, Jamie McMurray and Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth has won the last 2 races at this racetrack.
And row 5, we have Casey Kane, who unfortunately is going to have to go to the back of this field, starting next to Chase Elliott, who ran very well here in July, but ended up finishing 34th.
2 former New Hampshire winners make up row 6, Brad Keselowski and Kyle Busch.
And back in row 7, Kyle's brother Kurt Busch. He's a 3-time winner here, but only 1 top 10 in the last 10 races at this track.
Row 8, hometown hero Joey Logano is a 2-time winner here, starting next to Ryan Blaney.
Row 9, we have 2 drivers looking to spoil this chase talk, AJ Allmendinger and Alex Bowman.
And let's welcome in Matt Kenseth. We just talked about the fact that he has had a lot of success at this racetrack. Let's chat with him, Jeff.
Hey, Matt, it's Jeff. You with us?
Hey, Jeff.
Well, bud, you've won the last 2 races here. You think you can make it 3 in a row?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of things that have to go right to be able to get those wins, but guys been doing a great job on our Dollar General Camry. We seem to have pretty good speed, pretty good drivability so far this weekend. So see what the day brings us, see how the track changes, try to keep up with that. Hopefully not make any mistakes to be in the mix there at the end.
Matt, we spent a lot of time this morning talking about restarts and how important they are. Tell us why they're so difficult at this racetrack.
Well, the biggest thing here that you usually struggle with on a restart is being loose, but if you get the car too tight, you're no good in the center of the corner in the long run. So it's always that balance between getting, fired off good, still not being too slow at the end of the run.
All right, bud. Good luck. We'll be watching. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Matt Kenseth starting in the 8th position. We'll ride along with a few different drivers, one of those being Kevin Harvick. He has the Hunt Brothers Pizza onboard camera and will start 19th today. Alex Bowman in the number 88 has the Nationwide in-car camera and will start in row 9. The Ford onboard camera being carried by Joey Logano in the number 22. He starts 15th today in row 8. And Elliott Sadler has the Chevy onboard camera. Chase Elliott has the Chevy onboard camera, starts 10th. Matt Kenseth has the Sprint onboard camera and will start in row 4 in the 8th position. And Denny Hamlin in the number 11 has the Coca-Cola onboard camera and will start 5th. Not only will we be able to ride along with a few different cars on the track, we'll also have some great aerial views and the aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Take a look at the race analysis for today's race. It's a 300-lap race, just over 317 miles. The pit road speed 45 miles per hour. And again, the pit road sections that are caught for speeding, the loops that they have to go through, there are more here than there were last time they were at New Hampshire. The fuel window, 84 to 88 laps, Steve.
Yeah, and we expect that fuel window to come into play. It seems that every race here at New Hampshire, some team tries to stretch that window, stay out under some cautions, gain track position. We saw just last year Kevin Harvick run out of fuel in the closing laps of this race.
I want to take a look at today's Ram Guts and Glory.
Well, it all starts as who's going to gamble with pit strategy. Can you pit early and never pit again, getting that track position and taking advantage of it?
And the glory, there's no bigger glory than win and advance. That's what this playoff system is all about, why points are in play. If you can win today's race, it's an automatic advancement into the round of 12.
A little bit cooler day today. Does that mean we'll see higher speeds, or will the cooler weathers make it a little slicker on the racetrack?
Well, I think on restarts, it's going to make it more challenging. These tires like heat. The reason that restarts are difficult here, this is a very flat racetrack, long straights, so you enter the corners with a tremendous amount of speed, but there's no banking to hold the car, and the tires don't have a chance to heat up. So this cool temperature will make restarts better. Long runs, it'll help tire wear a little bit. On short runs, it'll make it more difficult.
And Rick, I don't expect to wait to see a few cautions to see restarts get crazy. I think the initial start of the race, it's only 300 laps. This is not going to be like a normal start of the race. These drivers, think about Kevin Harvick back in the field a little deeper than he wants to be. Joey Logano outside the top 10. You have other drivers like right here, Ryan Albon, Alex Bowman, trying to make something happen early.
In essence, if it would go continuously green, they could finish this race with just 3 pit stops. We don't expect that to happen because we've seen a lot of cautions at this racetrack as people get aggressive, and there could be a little contact, not only on the restarts, but also fighting for position around the magic mile. Everyone lined up behind the 19 of Carl Edwards, once again winning the pole here at Loudon, New Hampshire. On the outside, the most recent winner, Martin Truex Jr. Race number 2 of the chase is underway.
Already you see Jamie McMurray drop underneath the 11 car. Denny Hamlin making it 3 wide.
He's going to make it 3 wide, but it's all about the corner exit off turn 2. Did you see how low that 31 of Ryan Newman exited the corner? You have to get your car straight and really apply the power as hard as you can.
Great start for Carl Edwards, a driver who has had success in qualifying, but has never been able to find victory lane. He's out front, Martin Truex Jr. behind him, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, Ryan Newman, the only chaser in the top 5. Matter of fact, the only chaser in the top 10 right now.
And Denny Hamlin started 5th, but that restart wasn't good to him. He's lost 2 or 3 spots already.
And you heard Matt Kenseth talk about it, Jeff. It's just compromise. How do you be good on the restart? Well, you have enough security in your car that the rear tires don't slip around, but the fear is, as you see him overtake the 31 of Ryan Newman, the fear is your car will stop rolling the middle of the corner. This section of the corner right here in the middle, this, you see how well the 20 changed directions. He was able to clear the 31.
And so Newman, the non-chaser, has dropped back to 6. Carl Edwards out front. Martin Truex Jr. setting the pace.
Talked about the 11 car having trouble. Well, you see the 11 on the very low on the racetrack. He and 20, his teammate Matt Kenseth, get together on the exit of turn 4. That's just aggressive racing. That's all that is. We're going to see that all day long at this racetrack.
Well, contact made. Now should the 20 be a little bit nervous about that left rear tire, that there was some rub that had happened there between the 2 drivers.
When you're in this chase competition and you can't afford a bad race, you're nervous about anything that can happen. So they'll keep an eye on it, make sure they don't see any smoke. If they don't see any smoke, they'll be just fine. As we ride along with Chase Elliott, listen as he enters turn 1. Listen to the racetrack hit, listen to the race car hitting the racetrack. Basically all the way around the corners, he's trying to make a move around Ryan Newman. That's low air pressure. These teams want to run as low of air pressure as they possibly can, but that makes the car run lower on the racetrack so you can hear the car actually bottoming out and hitting the racetrack.
And as we were listening to that, we were also listening into the radio of the 11 of Denny Hamlin, who had this to say about the incident with the 20.
The 20 did check his left rear, ran into it. Now the 20 did check his left rear, we got into it.
So the communication's going to the spotter and letting them know, hey, you guys need to check the left rear because we ran into it. And obviously teammates are a little bit worried about each other.
Makes me wonder a little bit about the 11 if he didn't get a little bit of damage or something, even if it's just a little bit of fender damage. Or, I mean, he is
all the way back in 10th place at the moment. He's lost 5 spots in only 7 laps.
Right front, maybe a concern for the 11, and the left rear concern for the 20 of Matt Kenseth. That was the contact. We see Chase Elliott, a youngster that has come oh so close a few times already now this season to getting his first win.
And this is a great shot right here. This shows the patience. Oh, the 24 has to get out of the gas. That allows the 18 by. I was going to tell you the patience that Kyle Busch has to show. You have to put yourself in that position. Be right on the bumper of the 24, but you can't hit him. You have to wait for him to make a mistake or somehow exit the corner a little lower.
And that's what Kyle Busch just did. Let's go to his teammate, the 20, and Mike Massaro.
And Rick, I just checked in with the team to see whether or not they were concerned about a possible tire rub, and they just shook their head. Matt hasn't said anything, so as far as they know, everything's good.
Just a little bit of contact early in this race. They hope that it doesn't affect anything. At least get to their first pit stop.
See Kyle Larson, how out of control he was as compared to the 20. Kyle in the 42 just could not keep the car on the bottom of the racetrack and opened the door up for Matt Kenseth, and he took advantage of it.
Now in Kyle Larson's case, we have seen great amounts of speed early this weekend as far as early in the runs, but then it seems to fall off. He doesn't seem to be able to maintain the speed that everyone else has been able to hold on to. Very flat racetrack. Carl Edwards. Kurt Busch, Brad Keselowski, 11th and 12th.
Something very unique about this racetrack as you're watching these race cars go around the corners. They're not on the bottom of the racetrack. The bottom of the racetrack, that yellow line, that's actually the bottom of the racetrack, but they're a lane above that. The reason why is below those white lines above that yellow line, there is a less banking. It's just less banking there, so there's less grip. So why is it hard to pass here? Because to go underneath someone, you have to go where there's less banking. So one of the many reasons this racetrack is challenging.
Well, and it's been a challenge all weekend long for Austin Dillon in this 3. Had an accident on Friday. He's now in a backup car and just has showed no speed out of the backup car. Qualified outside the top 30, currently running in the 30th position. Hasn't gained any positions in the first 12 laps of this racetrack. This is a race that I believe this 3 has to find something over this 300 laps, or he's going to find himself in a must-win situation at Dover.
Driver trying to stay out of a must-win situation is we're in the second race of the round of 16. Carl Edwards out front. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces and their families. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Watch every Sprint Cup Series race in the NBC Sports app. You can get closer with additional camera angles, track information, driver stats. It's available on mobile, tablet, and connected TVs. You can download the app and find out more at NBCSports.com/live. Welcome back to the Bad Boy Off-Road 300. Carl Edwards coming up on some slower traffic, and that will give the opportunity for the 78s of Martin Truex Jr. to close the gap just a bit. The last two times that Carl Edwards has won the pole, he has actually lost the lead on lap 20 of each of those races as we close in on lap 20. Marty.
And Rick trying to hold on to the lead right now is that 19 car of Carl Edwards. We've talked a lot about how they've been quick in qualifying, but can't put it together for the race. So what Carl did was he looked at some data from his teammate Matt Kenseth, clearly very good here at New Hampshire. Also some video, and he said, I learned I need to attack this racetrack a little bit more than I had been attacking it. I know how to go fast by myself, but it takes a totally different package to run well here in the race. And I think nobody knows better about that than Jeff Burton. So what are those differences, Jeff, that you have to do in the race versus qualifying?
Yeah, so Marty, like we talked about earlier, this racetrack has very, very long corners, very flat corners. So if you try to pass someone in the middle of the corner, it's not going to work. It's about building the momentum on corner entry and then on corner exit. So if you're making your car go fast through the middle, that's great for qualifying. That's great for running by yourself. But if you catch a guy like the 78 catches the 19 and he can beat him through the middle, there's nowhere to go. You've got to be good on corner entry and you have to be good on corner exit, and you have to break even with them in the middle of the corner in racing and trying to pass. In qualifying, you need to beat them everywhere, but it's different between trying to pass someone and trying to lay a lap time down.
A very difficult racetrack. Let's listen into the 19 team communications.
3 laps ago, the 78, just a little bit better through the center. Just past center, you can pick up the gas. And 1 and 2, 3 and 4 were still pretty even. That's why Clayton's beating us right now. Yeah, talk to me about what he's doing differently there. Yeah, that's where I'm watching. It's about the same line. It's just across center right now, right through here. Quarter lane load.
That was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less. Spotter is located just above the press box.
Well, with the pressure of these playoffs, Rick, I don't know if they're going to help their drivers worry less. They're going to try, but I think all these drivers are worried. This is a track that brings concern because even as good as some of these cars are running, we're only 24 laps in, and they know there's cautions coming, there's chaos coming, and they just have to be patient, let their car come to them, and that's what Kyle Larson's doing right here. We saw earlier he fell back a little bit. Seems like his car's starting to get a little bit better. You mentioned that they weren't good on the long run in practice. It seems like they've made some adjustments to this 42 and maybe found a little more of that long run speed.
3 practice sessions at the track, and qualifying allowed them time to work on these race cars, but then at the end of the final practice yesterday, they still could make adjustments and try to put the car exactly the way they feel that it would be most beneficial for them in this race. And right now the 48's running in the top 5 in that 4th position as Kyle Larson's dropped back just a bit from him, and the 18 of Kyle Busch has dropped back to the 6th spot. Mike.
And focusing on the 34, Chris Buescher comes into this race in a fairly deep hole, 12 points back, Rick. He's the underdog for sure in this chase, but he hasn't given up. He spoke with me earlier today and said, look, we still have a shot. The thing is, though, we need to score top 10s in each of these next 2 races. The challenge will be New Hampshire, not one of his favorite tracks. He spent a lot of time this week in the simulator working on his arc, on his entry, trying to perfect this racetrack. It's given him fits in the past. He wants to be better, knows he needs better if he hopes to advance beyond Dover. Dave?
Mike Austin Dillon is just below the cut line to move on to the round of 12 coming into this race after his finish last week. So to help improve his chances, Richard Childress Racing replaced his pit crew team with the team that was pitting his teammate Paul Menard last week. So the 27 crew now on the 3. Pit crew coach Ray Wright told me, you hate to make moves like that because guys get used to what they're doing, but it's in the best interest of trying to win a championship.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. In this 3-car, they struggled so much. They wrecked on Friday, like we talked about in practice. They had to get the backup car. After qualifying, they changed the seat in this car. He was not comfortable with the way the seat felt. He just didn't feel like he could feel the race car. They took the seat out of the backup car and put into the primary car. We've heard of crew chiefs changing everything but the seat. Well, this team changed everything and the seat.
They felt like they needed to do whatever they could to give Austin Dillon the best feel for his race car. Edwards continues to lead. You can follow NASCAR on Twitter and use hashtag #TheChase to join the conversation. Let your voice be heard. As we ride along with Alex Bowman, running 13th. Out in front now, it's Martin Truex Jr. He was able to get by Carl Edwards and take over the top spot on lap 30. Take a look at how it happened.
So he's able to maintain with him through the center of the corner, but just out accelerating him on corner exit. And once you get that spot's yours. Carl Edwards gives it up. Late in the race, you won't give it up that easy, but right now, Carl Edwards understands that it's in his best interest to be smart with only lap 35.
Martin Truex Jr. led 123 laps here in July, but a broken shifter from second place on lap 265 dropped him all the way back to 16th. For a few updates, let's go to Mike Massaro.
And with that run here back in July, Rick, they come in with a sense of confidence. Also buoying their confidence, well, the victory in the Chase opener. That's also given them a little bit of freedom. So much, in fact, that Cole Pearn told me the reason his over-the-wall guys were in Kentucky yesterday pitting the car for Eric Jones is because they won the race last week. There was a discussion amongst the Toyota teams. If one had won, well, their team would have the freedom to go to Kentucky and pit without much consequence coming here to New Hampshire. So they're playing with that freedom and using it as much as they can, Marty.
Like his corporate teammate behind him, Carl Edwards, in second, led the first 30 laps today. He told me earlier this week, this is the best chance I've ever had to win a Sprint Cup Series championship. We have all the tools, all the pieces. It's now up to me to make it happen. Right now, after leading all those laps a little too tight in the center, so the car just feels like it's losing overall grip, Mike.
Matt Kenseth pretty quiet on the radio so far, but he did say that his biggest concern here was getting a read on the racetrack. Had a little bit of difficulty with that back in July with this particular tire. Jason Ratcliffe, his crew chief, told me this morning, he said it would be about 100, maybe 150 laps. We'll be paying very close attention trying to get that read so that we're ready when it really counts. Meanwhile, Jimmie Johnson coming in here with newfound speed from a week ago when he led the most laps. Felt like he had a very good race car here once again, getting passed by Kyle Busch. He felt like his biggest concern was when the track heated up. That's when it would lose grip, and they're not so sure how the car's going to react at that point. Kelly?
Last year champion Kyle Busch didn't win a single chase race until he had to in the championship race at Miami, and his crew chief Adam Stevens told me they'd be more than happy to employ that same strategy again this year. He said it's all a numbers game. That number today, they would love to finish inside the top 5, but make no mistake, they'll go for the win if it presents itself. Right now he's up 8 positions, running 4th right now, Marty.
Kelly, here in July, Chase Elliott finished 34th, so you can know why Alan Gustafson was a little bit worried about this race coming in, but he's done a fantastic job picking up this racetrack much better this time around. Right now, Chase running inside the top 10 with a car that's a little bit too tight. He's also tried to move up the racetrack a little bit, Kelly, like Kevin Harvick's been doing.
Kyle Larson's in the chase for the first time in his career, and when they looked at the chase schedule, his crew chief Chad Johnston pointed out this race here at Loudon. He felt like it was their weakest race. He told me if we can get through this race, if we can get through this round, we think we have as good of shot at racing for the championship in Miami as anyone. Right now, Kyle Larson has dropped a spot. He said he started off way too loose. Now he's tight in the middle and loose off, Mike.
Coming into the chase, Kelly, Jamie McMurray expressed his confidence, feeling like he could be a legitimate threat. An 11th place finish in the chase opener, not exactly what they had hoped for. They felt like they had a better race car, could have had a better result, trying to make up for that here today. So far, he's saying the car's really loose. Expect them to tighten it up on their first stop down pit road. Dave?
On Friday, according to crew chief Rodney Childers, Kevin Harvick's car was, quote, stupid good off the truck, and they felt like they were going to be good all day today. Right now, Kevin said the car is good, and he's passing cars. Picked up 9 spots since the start, Kelly.
After winning the Daytona 500, the 11 team of Denny Hamlin felt like they may have hit a little bit of a slump midway through the season. They were 13th in points and kind of down on themselves. Well, that has changed. They have put together 9 straight top 10 finishes, a career best for Denny Hamlin, trying to keep that streak alive today. Right now, Denny Hamlin just saying the 11 car is really loose.
Kelly, this morning, Paul Wolfe told me we need to finish in the top 10 today because Dover next week has not been a very good track for us of late. It's very hit or miss for this 2 team. Right now, they're running just outside the top 10 for Brad Keselowski in the 12th position. He said the car loose into 1 and very tight in the middle of both 3 and the middle of 1 and 2 as well. Back behind him is Kurt Busch back there in the car. For Kurt, a little bit too loose in the center of the corner. They finished 13th at Chicago last week. He said that puts us in a much different position than we came here to New Hampshire last year when we finished 3rd in that race. Tony Gibson told me this morning, we're going to have to play this race very defensively. Just looking for a nice top 10 in the 41 car. And Joey Logano struggling. It's been 2.5 years since this 22 team has finished worse than 4th here at New Hampshire. Todd Gordon told me this morning, he said, our car, we made tons of changes on it this morning, hoping we went the right direction because in practice, we were just a 10th place car at best, just getting passed by Tony Stewart, Dave.
Yeah, that was a nice pass by the 14 to the inside. The car is tight right there across the middle of the corner, according to the driver. Crew chief Mike Bucket-Ravage told me this morning, we didn't celebrate finishing 16th at Chicagoland, but when we figured we might be a 35th place car, it was somewhat of a victory. And it presents this day as a day to not do something stupid instead of a day where we would really have to risk. Rick?
Thanks, Dave. And thanks for getting us through from the top spot all the way down to 15th. The chase drivers. A week ago, Martin Truex Jr. solidified his position into the round of 12 with his win at Chicagoland. And already he's back out front, now at Loudon.
This program is brought to you by Craftsman. Celebrate 25 years of Craftsman Club by texting SPEED to 95990 for a chance to win a 2017 Chevy Silverado 1500.
Doesn't matter the size of racetrack. It seems that Martin Truex Jr. has been up front almost all season long. As we take a look at the laps led this season, over 1,200 laps led. He leads all drivers in that category, and Martin Truex Jr. continuing to add to that number today. Sprint's network reliability now within 1% of Verizon, which today save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. You can visit the Sprint store or sprint.com/network today. Take a look at some of the non-chasers. We'll start with Kelly.
Start with Ryan Newman in that 31 car. Certainly disappointed not to be racing for a championship this year, but now that they're out of the chases, crew chief Luke Lambert told me their mindset for these next 9 races is to be aggressive on strategy, on setups, and on track. He said we have nothing left to protect anymore, nothing left to lose, and a win would be huge for this team. Well, Ryan has dropped 5 positions since starting third. Right now he's saying that his car is loose and plowing through the center. Dave?
Kelly, this is the 4th race for Alex Bowman substituting for Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 car. And remember, it all started right here at New Hampshire in July. I talked with Alex this morning, asked him how things have changed for him with this group since then. He says, I'm a lot calmer now. I'm not so overwhelmed by the whole situation. And our cars are getting faster. And then look at last week, Chicagoland, a 10th place finish and running well again today, guys.
Well, Alex Bowman's, this is a cool, this 360 cam. You can look at his rear bumper and look up just above the spoiler, what it looks like out the mirror, trying to figure out what line those cars are running behind you. That'll come in handy late in these runs when you have to protect. But Alex Bowman's teammate, Casey Kane, he had to start at the rear of the field for that track bar adjuster engine he had to change, or the track bar adjuster motor he had to change pre-race, and he's come all the way back to 19th position, Jeff.
And Steve, you know how that track bar adjuster needs to be used during inspection, and that's where they discovered it. They had to deploy it, and they found out it's not working, so that's where they discovered the deal.
That's a great time to find it, because during the race, while it isn't required to go out and make laps, if the driver can't move that track bar on his own, that's a big disadvantage versus the other teams he's trying to compete against.
Yeah, we talked about Hendrick Motorsports and Alex Bowen talking about the cars that continue to get faster. Well, we're seeing it with all the Hendrick cars right now. So definite improvement in speed. We talked about Jimmy Johnson needing to take advantage of it. He's in 5th. Chase Elliott's in 6th. Alex Bowman, he's in 12th. And Casey Kane, has dug his way from the back, and he's in 19th. So he's done a really good job in 54 laps, getting himself into a safe spot. Because remember, the leader's coming, and he's trying to put as many people a lap down as he can. So Casey Kane's move toward the front is a big advantage.
Next 2 drivers that could go a lap down, Chris Buescher, Austin Dillon. 2 chase drivers fighting to get back up into the top 12. Martin Truex Jr. out front now. NASCAR Drive is NASCAR.com's live race day companion. You can select your in-car video or camera angle, access integrated driver stats, lap-by-lap commentary, social media, all in real time. You won't miss a lap when you visit NASCAR.com/drive on your personal computer now. Welcome back to the Bad Boy Off-Road 300. Chase Elliott chasing after the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. They've had a pretty good battle going on here. And Jeff, during the commercial break, you mentioned a different line for the 24.
Yeah, watch the 24 as he's trying to get position on the 48. Typically, you try to go around somebody on the inside at this racetrack, but look at Chase Elliott. He opens his entry way up and tries to roll on the outside of the 48. That's just something you do not see at New Hampshire very much. But we're hearing that his spotter has been watching Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick has opened up his line in the middle of the corner, so told Chase Elliott, hey, go try it, see if it'll work. See how high Chase Elliott is compared to the 48. Didn't quite work, but at least he was out there trying something rather than just following somebody around. Continue to do the same thing will get you the same result. So Chase Elliott, young driver, looking for something different.
Well, you mentioned it before.
I was going to say that spotter, Eddie DeHaan, is a veteran, certainly on top of the pit box or on top of the track and watching what Chase Elliott is doing. But you and I were in a conversation with Alan Gustafson this morning about how he's had to try and teach Chase Elliott how to drive this track differently, how he has to be aggressive because he feels like his driving style never really worked for him here at New Hampshire, and how he had to approach this racetrack and almost attack those corners, which you agreed with. That's the way he's got to approach it.
You do have to attack these corners, and the reason why is the corners are so long that you can drive the inch of these corners very, very aggressively. And really, if you think about Chase Elliott, he's an aggressive driver, but not on corner entry. He tries to carry a lot of speed through the middle of the corner on corner exit. But this racetrack, attacking the entries, there's speed to be had. So just another example of how these drivers have changed. Years ago, you just went out and drove the way you wanted to. It wasn't as much information, as much technology. Today, there's a lot of technology, a lot of film, a lot of data that drivers can take advantage of to make themselves better.
I mean, one of the drivers that have kind of originated that high line, as Marty mentioned, was Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick likes to enter about this area of the racetrack, and you'll see at times in the race he'll exit much higher. He hasn't used that strategy yet. He's actually almost to the apron of the racetrack. But one thing we've seen is out of that 4 car is he's found speed longer in the run. He isn't quite as fast as our leader, Martin Truex Jr., who's now lapping Austin Dillon, the second chase car he's lapped today. He's already lapped Chris Buescher. He has definitely got the fastest car, but that 4 of Kevin Harvick and old tires does seem to find a little bit more competitiveness.
Surprised at all that we have already gone 66 laps and no caution?
Not at all. Not
Long
at all.
green flag run to start this race?
Long green flag run all the way about lap 200 at New Hampshire. Don't let the first 200 laps make you think it's a different race. It will time and time again. And from lap 200 on, we will have 5, 6, 7, 8 yellows. So the beginning of this race is normally calm, but the second half can be crazy. I mean, look at left side, first half of the race, 2, 3, maybe 4 yellows. Second half, at least 5, all the way back in 2014, 13 yellows in just the second half of this race. So this is a track and this is the race that we always see the intensity ramp up, and with that intensity, with the restarts, come more yellows.
Fighting for third, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch. 2 teammates. Right now, the top 4, all Toyotas. Then behind them, it's 7 Chevrolets. Truex Jr. out front. Green flag pit stops are coming up. Who will be mistake-free on those green flag stops? We'll be right back. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less on the track and on the road. Pit window around 85 to 88 laps, and it looks as though the 22 of Joey Logano is going to come a little bit earlier than that. He is coming on lap 75. Marty?
And the car has just not been good for Joey Logano. In fact, at one point he said, we're bad everywhere. Everything I do to fix the car inside there with a track bar adjuster or the brake bias makes the car a little bit worse. So you see a wedge adjustment, also air pressure, trying to get this car to work better for Logano. Biggest problem, tight in the center, and big wedge adjustment on that left side. Kelly?
And Denny Hamlin had his hands full as well with the 11, dropping back a few spots from the start. He said he's about an 8 loose. From the center off, 3 loose. On exit, you see it's going to be 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for the 11. And now Ryan Newman, who started this race from the 3rd position, said that his car is just loose in and plowing tight through the center, so they're probably going to make a big adjustment. You see the wrench go in there to make that chassis adjustment. 4 tires and fuel, Mike.
And Jamie McMurray now making his stop. He's been complaining a little bit about having a very loose race car. 4 tire change and an air pressure adjustment.
Mike Kurt Busch here on pit road said the longer run certainly helped us, but it felt like the car was too right rear dominant, meaning it was way too loose. He also said, I feel like we need to keep up with the track as much as anything. Got cloudy and very cool towards the end of that run. Wedge and air pressure on the 41 car and 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Dave.
Kevin Harvick was running 9th during this run, Marty. 4 tire Goodyear change, Sunoco fuel in. He said, I can't be any freer, but I need the front to hang with me a little bit longer. The 14 of Tony Stewart on pit road as well. His car was tight in the middle of the corner, so he'll get an air pressure adjustment for that. Casey Kane also on and off of pit road, up to 19th from 39th in the 5 car. Marty?
Dave, remember, because of a penalty last week, Chase Elliott and his team lost pit stall selection. So this is the stall they have. Brad Keselowski right in front of them. Fortunately, the 2 car will not be here during this pit stop. Chase said the drive off is what I need. Off of the corner, center off. Said it was too free rolling. It's going to be an air pressure adjustment, 4 fresh Goodyear tires and a wedge adjustment, Dave.
Austin Dillon needs an adjustment for his race car. He got one. It was loose in and off, but the biggest thing he's been doing is adjusting his line. The crew telling him recently, really good. Whatever you learn there, keep doing it. Kelly?
Kyle Busch stayed out to lead a lap and get his point. His car is pretty good. He's happy with it. At about lap 50, he said it started to get a little bit loose. Left it up to his crew chief, Adam Stevens, whether or not to make any adjustments. It was 4 tires, Sunoco fuel for the M&M's machine.
Still 2 cars have not come to pit road, one of those being Brad Keselowski and the other one Casey Mears.
I understand the Casey Mears car trying to stay out and hopefully catch a caution and stay on the lead lap, but a little concerning or confused by the 2 of Brad Keselowski. Paul Wolf and Brad do this a lot. The only thing I can think of is that perhaps they're only going to do this on 3 stops. So basically, they want to run as far as they can early in this race, try to make their last pit stop on the freshest tires. But this early in the race, you would expect cautions to dictate the next 2 pit stops. It looks like Brad will be coming to pit road this lap.
So Brad Keselowski comes down pit road, 45 miles per hour, the speed limit, and he goes on his way to Marty Snyder.
And Rick, we've seen Paul Wolf and this team do this before, kind of play a different pit strategy than everybody else. Paul's told me that Brad is very good in those scenarios and kind of keeps his focus, which is key for the driver if you're on a little bit of different strategy than everybody else. He said the car is tight in the center and he needs drive off, especially turn 4. He said, that's my weakest spot. You see in front of him, Casey Mears, the other car that was staying out. You see the wedge adjustment on the right side for this 2 team, 4 fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. We'll see if they are indeed playing a little bit of strategy here, staying out longer than everybody else.
And what they might be doing, as silly as it sounds, it's 1 point to lead a lap. So with staying out those extra laps, Brad Keselowski does lead a lap, gets that bonus point. Rick, we saw how close points can be leaving Dover next week.
Almost everyone has been to pit road now. It looks as though Greg Biffle, the only one that has not gone down pit road up to this point. We're guessing that he will be on his way to pit road shortly. As everyone cycles through, Martin Truex Jr. had a 1.2 second lead over Matt Kenseth before the pit stop started, and now it's a 1.8 second lead, so 0.6 of a second picked up off of pit road. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Ford. We go further so you can. Proudly Propane, clean American energy. And by Bank of America, life's better when we're connected. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A gorgeous afternoon for racing. It has gone completely caution-free up to this point. A 300-lap race, 87 laps already in the books, and you see Kyle Busch closing in on the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. They have moved up to the 3rd and 4th position, and Kyle Busch trying to set up the 48, see if he can get by.
Yeah, Kyle Busch was ahead of Jimmy Johnson before the green flag pit stops, but Jimmy Johnson came 2 laps earlier than Kyle Busch. In that cycle, he leapfrogged him on the racetrack, but now the 18 of Kyle Busch is showing why he was in front of him before that pit stop. He just has a little bit better car, and now you see him just turns better, middle and off. You have to, he can easily exit lower than the 48, and Jimmy Johnson wisely concedes a spot.
Which is so important to be able to roll that second part of the corner as you're trying to get to the exit of the corner. If you can turn underneath the guy in front of you and accelerate, that's how you pass, like we talked about before. Being fast in the middle of the corner doesn't really gain you the opportunity to pass somebody. You have to be fast on corner exit to be able to take advantage of a faster car. So the 18 car of Kyle Busch, these guys have to be happy with where they are right now with their car.
Everybody came to pit road, no speeding penalties, even with the additional loops. So everyone got through their green flag pit stops without any penalties. Mike.
And that was a big sigh of relief for everybody, including Jimmy Johnson, no doubt, because you think back to last week, that's pretty much what ruined his race after dominating and leading the most laps, a speeding penalty. So much, in fact, that this team went to work this week trying to polish up those speeding penalties on pit road. Jimmy told me this morning that they actually, in addition to spending time in the simulator, they set up timing lines in a parking lot. 5 timing zones altogether. He would run through them with his Chicagoland car with various digital dash settings, trying to get a better understanding of the data so that what happened last week does not happen again. Jimmy said they learned something. They've changed the settings on the digital dash so that he's a little bit better, and it helps him here this afternoon.
And Mike, nobody has more speeding penalties with the new zones than the 48 team. So they definitely had to practice not only away from the track, but they're also doing it here at the track during practice.
Yeah, they did. We saw that the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, as soon as the racetrack opened, he immediately started hitting pit road, and he came down pit road between 4 and 6 times, just working on his pit road speed, working on the entry, trying to find a way to maximize pit road speed. Listen, it would be easy for Jimmy Johnson not to speed on pit road, but you're going to give up so much time to the people that are pushing the limit, that are able to go just underneath the speed limit, that he still has to find a way to do it well. He has to find a way to have good time on pit road, not just slow down. That's the easy fix. The right way to fix it is go the maximum speed you can go without getting penalized.
And I want to reiterate to everyone, we talk about tolerances that NASCAR gives on all of the different rules. They do the same thing on pit road. The pit road speed is 45 miles per hour, but NASCAR gives them 5 miles per hour of tolerance. So they're able to go 50 miles an hour on pit road if they go
49.99.
Yeah.
That's how fast they're able to go.
They're able to go right up to that 50 miles per hour. If they go 250, they get a speeding penalty.
That's correct. So if Jimmy Johnson wants to fix his problem by coming down pit road speed at 45, and his competitors are coming down at 49.5, yeah, he's not going to get caught speeding, but he's going to get beaten badly on pit road. And so that's how you fix this problem is what's important. He knows it needs to be fixed, but fixing it correctly is the right thing to do.
And you see with the additional lines how many more speeding penalties we've seen this year alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just been a tremendous amount more because the loops are smaller. Well, we documented that Brad Keselowski chose to stay on the racetrack for a few extra laps. He actually pitted 4 laps after Martin Truex Jr., our leader. Before the pit stop, he was 15.5 seconds behind Martin Truex Jr. 4 extra laps on the racetrack on those old tires cost the 2 of Brad Keselowski 7 seconds. He's currently over 22 seconds behind Martin Truex Jr. So while there was a bonus point awarded for leading that lap, it definitely cost the 2 a long time on the racetrack.
It also cost him 3 spots. So he gained a point by leading a lap, but he gave up 3 spots in time to do it.
Well, we talked earlier, guys, about how worried they are about Dover next week. So, you know, Paul Wolf trying to bank as many points here this weekend as he can, but certainly want to gain a little bit of ground. Paul Wolf told me this morning, he said, hey, we learned last week with all the speed the 78 car brought to Chicagoland, we have our work cut out for us for round 2 of the chase. If we can get there, we've got to get a bunch better. He said, our bodies have to get better on our Team Penske cars, but he said also, with the new rules now in NASCAR, that skew rule is opened up, and there are teams that have that figured out better than we have that figured out. So he said, we have 2 obstacles. 1, we got to make our bodies better in the next 2 weeks, but then 2, we got to figure out that skew rule, which is kind of a new curve for these crew chiefs, isn't it, Steve, when you've got to figure out another aspect to get a little bit better, catch those Toyotas.
Well, I think that's the frustrating thing for the fans and for NASCAR in this sport. You know, NASCAR set a very big window of tolerance with a very severe penalty, with the idea that that would give the teams a window to make sure they don't get penalized, but that's not how these crew chiefs work. What they see there is opportunity. So they're going to go to work to try to find a way to take 80, 85, 90% of that tolerance. But beware, because the first team that steps over the penalty at that P4 level is very severe.
Will be very, very severe. Right now, it's Martin Truex Jr. still out front. He's led 63 laps already. Tickets are still available at the Monster Mile. To purchase tickets for next weekend's NASCAR Sprint Cup and Xfinity Series races at Dover International Raceway, visit NASCAR.com/tickets. And welcome back to Bad Boy Off-Road 300 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway in Loudon, New Hampshire. This has been a caution-free race for the first 104 laps. It's the longest a race has gone at Loudon since the chase was started. The last record for green flag start of this race was 87 laps and already 105 completed. How does that change your strategy? Steve, you at the beginning of the show said, well, we know that there's going to be a lot of cautions. Well, what if they don't come? Does that change the way you call this race?
They're going to come. They're going to come. I think as a crew chief, you have to believe in the stats. If you think there's going to be cautions, you can't change it yet. You might get caught out, but I would much rather be on the side hedging my bets that the second half of this race is going to be caution-filled. At this point, what else can you do? You work on your race car, try to make it drive really well, and the pit stops are relatively laid out for you. When you need fuel, you come to pit road.
I'm going to tell you one thing that changes the strategy when you get this long green flag run is, are you going to go a lap down? So if you're a chase racer and you're Joey Logano, for example, he's in 17th place. There's only one car between he and the leader. So Joey Logano and his team, the strategy is we got to find a way to get some speed. Panic is starting to set in. The leader's coming. He potentially is going to put us a lap down. So this team is going to have to find some speed, and they're going to need a caution to stay in the lead lap.
And Jeff, remember here in July, they had a very similar race on this 22 team. They tried an experimental setup that day because they felt like their standard setup was just a top 5 setup, and that's it. They wanted to find a winning setup. Well, eventually during that race, they migrated back to what they normally know. They have that ability today as well, but they are struggling right now. In fact, Logano said 20 laps into this run, I've lost all of my front turn. So now they're watching that 78 coming quickly and certainly don't want to go down a lap.
Well, if they have the ability to migrate that direction, I would make some suggestions that on the next pit stop they start heading that way, because remember, the weather is totally different. It was very hot, very humid when we were here in the spring. We heard crew chiefs talk in practice how the track they didn't think would take rubber. Remember, Chad Johnson, the 42 crew chief, explicitly told Kyle Larson, trust me, this cool weather is going to change the way that this track takes rubber. It's going to change the way that the balance shifts. Currently, it doesn't seem to be agreeing with the 22 car.
One driver who has been moving the right direction has been the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Started in the 19th position all the way up to 6th, Dave.
And the car is still very good, a little bit loose in. This morning when his crew chief Rodney Childers and I were talking about last year's race where Kevin dominated, leading 216 out of 300 laps but finished 21st. Rodney reminded me that it wasn't because we had bad fuel calculations, it's because we ran out of fuel. The reason they did, he said, they brought the car to pit road, and when they plugged in the fuel can, they shook the car back and forth. Here's video of it on the left showing just exactly what they did. Conventional wisdom and the old way that the gas can was coupled to the car would say that you'll get air bubbles out this way. You'll fit more fuel in. But according to Rodney, the new coupling system is so efficient that by shaking it back and forth, you actually burped it a little bit, let air in there, and he said we packed in more air than we should have, and he ran out of fuel with 2 laps to go. You won't see that today from the Ford team, and Rodney said we learned a big lesson.
Lesson learned, and that's the way you continue to run for championships, is you learn every time out on the track.
Well, it's great when you can learn a lesson and then have a driver in a car fast enough to go to Dover and bail you out of learning that lesson, because that's what they had to do. And last year, where they got themselves in trouble, they had to find a way to go to Dover and win that race. So today, with a fast race car, they need to execute. They need to finish. They don't want to go to Dover in that same situation they had to go to last year.
Jeff, just as quickly as you mentioned that there was one car between Logano and Martin Truex Jr., that car now is not there. And so Logano, the next car to go a lap down. Martin Truex Jr. has been setting a blistering pace already. His last lap, 30.257 seconds. Logano's last lap, 30.378 seconds.
And Jeff, this has to affect Martin Truex. He has to look up and see that 22 and have a smile, have a little twinkle in the eye, and know that this was a championship contender. This is a championship contender. And to pass him, to lap him under green at New Hampshire, has got to be proving a point to this 22 that the 78 would love to make.
Oh, yes. That is a great feeling. Now, the 22 of Joey Logano, he has to stay focused. He has to stay in the game here and try to stay with the 78. Hope a caution comes out so he can be the first car lap down. So the fight is just started right now for Joey Logano with a car that's much slower than it needs to be, but he cannot give up. He's got to continue to fight.
Was talking with the crew chief for the 22, Todd Gordon, and Todd made the comment to me earlier today, we're not going to do anything crazy. We're not doing anything as far as strategy goes to try to do anything other than finish in the top 10. He said that's the goal for this first round. We swept all of the races in the second round. We just need to get there. Well, right now, Joey Logano just went a lap down, and teammate Brad Keselowski is the next on the target for Martin Truex Jr. 16 cars on the lead lap. The pace really picking up for Martin Truex Jr. Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less on the track and on the road. Good battle building here between Martin Truex Jr. in second place, Matt Kenseth. The gap closed to about a half a second now between the two.
Yeah, I think lap traffic is holding up the 78 a little bit as he catches a little bit faster cars. They battle a little bit harder. We saw him lap Joey Logano, but also I think 20 Matt Kenseth improved his car on that round of pit stops, Jeff. He seems like his car's really cut in the middle, driving off nice and low, nice and straight, putting together some nice laps.
We've seen a lot of different lines today. We've seen him in the middle of the racetrack, seen him on the top. Look at Matt Kenseth. He's below the white lines. He's way down there on the flat part of the racetrack, trying to get the left sides on the flat to help make the car turn.
You mentioned flat part of the racetrack. 2 to 7 degrees of banking at this racetrack. 2 to 7 degrees.
Well, it makes it hard to get your car to handle, but it also gives your drivers options. Jeff, you know if your car's a little bit tight, you can touch that left front tire on the apron to get it to turn. If you need to, you mentioned in practice, diamond the corner, which basically means go in low, get up high, turn the car, and come off low and straight. There are multiple ways to get through these corners at New Hampshire.
Yeah, drivers got to be willing to look around, got to be willing to try different things. And as you see your competitors, you know, they're doing something, they're fast, and you try to do what they're doing as well. But really, it's a matter of lap times. It's a matter of you looking out of the windshield, trying to come up with a plan, the team giving you lap time so that you know if it's better or not. Now we got a caution.
Debris going into turn number 1 has brought out the first caution. And 123 laps complete. They were on lap 124 when this first caution came out. And long enough, Brad Keselowski, it looked as though he was still on the lead lap. But Allmendinger may have been in front of Logano, so that could have saved the two of Brad Keselowski, but also could have hurt Joey Logano as far as getting the free pass. We'll take a listen to what's going to take place with NASCAR as far as who gets the free pass. It is going to be the 47 of A.J. Allmendinger will receive the free pass, so that means Joey Logano will still be a lap down, as is Austin Dillon and Chris Buescher, the other two chase drivers that have been lapped already by Martin Truex Jr.
That is why that race, when you get lapped, you cannot continue. You have to continue to race. You have to continue to battle. By A.J. Allmendinger fighting, not giving up, he was able to get that free pass by being the first car one lap down.
And one thing I'm going to look at is with Brad Keselowski running in the 16th position, you saw Marty Snyder, heard Marty Snyder report that the 24, because he lost his pit pick, is pitting right behind Keselowski. Keselowski will be late to pit road, coming in front of the 24. Chase Elliott and his team's going to have to stop back in their pit box to get out clean on this pit stop.
And those on the lead lap heading onto pit road now. We go to Mike.
And Rick, Matt Kenseth seeking his third consecutive New Hampshire win, saying the car's just been a little free in the center, but otherwise pretty good. Looking for a 4-tire change there and fuel. Meanwhile, your race leader, Martin Truex Jr., also saying he's been a little bit free. 4 tires there, air pressure, and Sunoco race fuel. Ellie?
Kyle Busch in the 18 pits from the 3rd position, and for the 2nd time he's asked for no changes to the 18 car, just a drink bottle, 4 tires and fuel for the 18, Marty.
Kelly Chase Elliott said he lost rotation on initial throttle, but the exit was good. He said he feels like he just abuses the front tires in traffic. We'll watch for him getting around that 2 car. He gets around them cleanly. Doesn't seem to lose anything here on pit road.
And the race off pit road brought to you by Geico. Martin Truex Jr., Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson all holding their positions. Kevin Harvick gained a spot. First caution has come out at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This is the second race of the chase. Martin Truex Jr. has been fairly dominant, led 91 laps. Carl Edwards was out front for the first 31 laps. Chase Elliott, there was a question if Chase Elliott would have had a difficult situation because of the pit selection, but you guys watched and said he did pretty well.
Yeah, he did a great job. So you're going to see him coming down pit road on the in-car camera. Look at the sign that's hanging up. That's going to get dropped right there. His left front fender, left front headlight directly on that sign. Hit that sign perfect. That's his cue on where to stop in the pit.
Yeah, and when you look at the pit stall and the reference to the pit stall, you see how far back the 24 car is. He does a good job of accelerating out and around the 2. If the 24 of Chase Elliott drives into that stall too deep and the 2 has to come around him, that's going to ruin their day, Marty. We talked about the penalty of losing your pit pick. The 24 doing a nice job so far in this race trying to recover from that.
And actually gained a spot, as you guys mentioned, on pit road, and Chase said too he couldn't get going once they did drop the jack. I talked to Dion Williams, former NFL player who's the front tire carrier for the 24 team, and he said, listen, we moved that tape that you saw, the sign where it goes down that you were mentioning, Jeff, back 3.5 feet from where it would normally be because we knew this was going to be an issue all day long. We wanted to make sure that we stopped short in our box. And twice, Alan Gustafson reminded Chase, listen, we're stopping short so we can get around that 2. Make sure you're pointing out the right way. Great job by that young man to make sure there were no problems on pit road.
And listen into the 24 radio as they were watching the pit stop on the replay and kind of coaching as far as how well they did.
Yeah, watching that replay, you had to really turn to get around that 2 also. That might have been some of it. Yeah, it didn't help, but I don't think that was the majority.
Yeah, so what Alan is talking about, Chase said he had trouble getting going, meaning when he let the clutch out, the car didn't accelerate like he wanted to. When you have the wheels turn to the right a great deal, it's almost like having brakes on the car because the wheels are turned so sharply, the car just can't accelerate. And so that was what Alan was talking to him about.
Chase came in 6th, went out 6th, didn't lose a spot, so everything worked out well for the 24. Now, as you both have touted, we're getting ready to see a restart, which things get crazy.
And you see right there the mark. That's what Marty was talking about. That mark right there, that little L, that is where Chase Elliott should put his left front tire in the pit box. So this area right here, you see the gentleman kind of standing on it, but right here's a mark. And the idea is that the left front fender, the left front tire should stop in that mark in the pit box.
And look right here. Look, what's the gentleman doing with the bottle on pit road? He's spraying a chemical on pit road to try to make more grip, try to make the tires adhere to the racetrack when he accelerates. So sometimes that's just simple Coke syrup.
I was going to say,
yeah,
that used to use Coke, I think, is one of the things.
You can walk down pit road before the race, and if you see women sometimes with sandals on, they'll walk out of their feet. The pit roads can get so sticky.
So let's go inside. We're going to listen to Chase Elliott trying to get out of his pit box. So this is him pulling into his pit box. Listen, he gets in here nice. He stops right on his sign as the crew goes to work. Remember, you're going to see the 2 appear right in front of Chase. That's his concern. Now listen to the work Chase does with the clutch to try to get these rear tires to hook up. That is a nice job because very easily, if he just dumps the clutch, the rear tires just spin, the car doesn't accelerate, very easy to stall the car. So while Alan and Chase continue to work on doing that better, I give that team an A+ for the first time in the worst situation with Brad Keselowski running deep in the field.
Take a look at the Toyota driver update. Martin Truex Jr. currently 1st. Kenseth, Kyle Busch 2nd, 3rd. Carl Edwards 7th. Denny Hamlin 8th. Front row has Martin Truex Jr. choosing the outside line. And on the inside will be Matt Kenseth. Race leader gets to choose either inside or outside, and Martin Truex Jr. has chosen the outside. Green flag back in the air. Great restart for the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., as well as Jimmy Johnson in the 48 on that outside line, making it work initially through 1 and 2.
We have to watch a couple battles on the racetrack, just not this battle, but deeper in the field as well. We have Ryan Blaney currently sitting in the free pass position, and Joey Logano a couple spots behind him. Remember, Joey Logano was lapped early by Martin Truex Jr. He needs to fight for that free pass position to try to get back on the lead lap.
And you can see what happened to Matt Kenseth right there. He was on the bottom of the racetrack, and everybody kept pinning him down onto the lower groove racetrack. We've talked about it. There's lower banking at the bottom of the racetrack, and they just kept pinning him down there, and he ended up losing a lot of spots because of that.
Yeah, and I mentioned the battle for the free pass. This race right here is probably the most important race on the racetrack because the leaders, they know they have 150 laps, but Joey Logano, he has to get unlapped. We saw last week Kevin Harvick lose a lap with a great race car, but never could get the timing right to be in this position. Joey Logano has to battle here and try to clear the 21 of Ryan Blaney to have that opportunity. It looks like he's going to be able to do it.
He does get into the free pass position, but this is exactly the situation that Kevin Harvick was in a week ago. Kevin Harvick would get into the free pass position, but because of the long green flag runs, there would be the race leader getting by some other traffic, some slower traffic, and ending up lapping the slower traffic, and then the person that was in the free pass loses that opportunity because they're not the highest scored person on the lead lap or one lap behind. A little bit of contact here between the 88 and the
cleared the 42, and he's back in there inside the 42 door.
Yeah, the one got really slow in the middle of the corner. We keep talking about restarts, why they're difficult. It's because you just don't make a lot of grip. So the one got slow in the corner. The 88 gave it a little shot.
Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards. Carl Edwards out in the 8th position, just behind Kyle Busch, as Kevin Harvick now in front of that 18. Harvick had worked all the way up to 6th after starting 19th. And then now has been able to get back up to the 6th spot.
And watch this 18 of Kyle Busch. We talk about different lines. Well, right here you'll see a real low entry. He's going to stay low through the entire corner in 1 and 2. It'll be interesting to see. The last time through 3 and 4, that 18 did that big diamond you talked about. So as we watch both cars enter the corner, they're both going to enter on the bottom of the racetrack, but see what lane they run. The 4 stays on the bottom, but look at the 18 purposely going up a lane, slowing the car down, getting turned, and getting a lower, straighter run on corner exits, trying to gain ground on Kevin Harvick down the front straightaway.
Teammates fighting for position. Chase Elliott in the 24, Jimmy Johnson in the 48. Those two fighting for the 2nd spot now as Chase Elliott looks to the inside.
Just look at this picture right here.
Oh,
and it's like I'm watching the past of Hendrick Motorsports and the future of Hendrick Motorsports. Jimmy Johnson, a 6-time champion, driven his entire career at Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott takes over the 24 for Jeff Gordon. While he hasn't won a race, I don't think anybody will be surprised when he does. And here they are battling for the 2nd position.
We saw Chase Elliott get underneath the 48 and got really loose and had to back up. Did a nice job of keeping the car off the side of the 48 in the middle of 3 and 4 the lap before. You can see Chase is just a little bit quicker, but Jimmy gets that run on the corner exit. So even though Chase rolls the middle good, the 48 can beat him on corner exit.
And guys, such a drastic improvement for this 24 team. Alan Gustafson said here in July, we honestly were at best a 10th place car. They finished 34th in that race. So they did work hard on this race. And he said, if Chase is going to finish well today, he's going to have to earn it. He said the car's not going to be comfortable, but every car I've ever had that's been fast here at New Hampshire has not been comfortable. Steve, what do you always say? It's not a ride contest, right? It's a speed contest. And sometimes behind the wheel, like Chase Elliott, who we're riding on board with right now, it's not comfortable.
That's absolutely right, Marty. You can make cars drive good. You can make cars drive comfortably. This is a race. It is a contest of speed. The goal is not easy. The goal is fast.
And the fastest has been Martin Truex Jr. out front for 104 laps already. Mike.
And just an update on the guy that Chase Elliott is chasing. That would be Jimmy Johnson. And believe me, Rick, he's very much aware that his teammate is right back there. But his concern is making sure he finds speed. He told me before the race, he said, what we're really worried about is as the track heats up, it loses grip, and that's really where we lose the handle on this race car. So much, in fact, that just before that last round of pit stops, Chad Knaus came over the radio and told Jimmy, try to run a little bit higher on the racetrack. He feels like the track temps might be a little bit cooler there and maybe a little bit better for this race car and what he needs. But at the same time, as you guys can see, can't afford to go too high because it'll open that door for Chase Elliott.
Yeah, the battle for 3rd now as Matt Kenseth has closed the gap and is getting right on the back bumper of the 24 of Chase Elliott. So Kenseth, who has been so successful at this racetrack, especially over the past 4 races, is working his way back up toward the front. tries to get below the 24. Knows how to make the passes, as he is going to get side by side with Chase Elliott.
I love that shot though, Rick, when you not only ride on board and see the work that Matt Kenseth is trying to do to get underneath the 24, but you listen to the throttle. They're just not stepping on the throttle wide open. They're pretending there's an egg under it as the 24 of Chase Elliott crosses it back over and tries to get to the bottom lane.
So Kenseth had moved up to the 3rd spot. Jimmy Johnson holding on to 2nd. Martin Truex Jr. continuing to dominate in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Today's aerial coverage provided by our partners at Smithfield Foods. Guys, I want to check out the Toyota Camry on-track car as it sits in victory lane.
Yeah, well, the driver has a lot of tools that he can use during the race. One of the most important is this left side mirror. You can see from the driver's seat, you're able to look in this left side mirror and really see the car that's next to you. Understand if you can turn left, you try to block. This is a big help to the drivers on restarts, and then when someone's trying to advance their position on them, you really use this a great deal.
And what you always say, as much as you want the spotters to try to help the driver, in the end, it's the driver's decision when he can hang a left, when he can protect. So as you watch battles around the racetrack all day, they're going to see cars try to get that run up the inside, getting into the corner, like right here. As the 4 clears the 32, he's going to come down the straightaway. He's going to look at his rear view mirror and also look out his left side mirror just to make sure the 18's not there, to understand if he has room to commit down into the corner.
It's amazing how much you can use that left side mirror and how you learn depth perception in it. When you know someone is underneath you or they're not, you can really just determine how to block somebody. And of course, unfortunately, sometimes the way you learn that is by doing it wrong a few times. But the depth perception of that mirror is exceptionally important.
Kevin Harvick has fought his way back up to the 5th position. Chase Elliott just in front of him in 4th. Matt Kenseth is 3rd. Jimmy Johnson 2nd. And Martin Truex Jr. continuing to lead. Martin Truex Jr. has a 1.8 second lead over Jimmy Johnson. As you look up to the gap to Jimmy Johnson and Matt Kenseth.
Matt still trying to work on Jimmy Johnson. You can see how much lower Matt was in the middle of 3 and 4. We keep talking about these different lines, but it just changes so much the way your car drives. Look at Matt Kenseth, left side's all the way on that flat. Now right here, trying to accelerate off of turn 2, it's very difficult to run your left sides down there because, again, there's less banking, and you have less banking on the right side tires, and more banking on the right side than the left. So a big transition. If you're going to pass somebody, there's really no other choice. You have to go around them on the inside. We saw earlier in the race, a couple people try to pass on the outside. We saw Chase Elliott try it. It did not work. So without a doubt, you want to try to make the bottom work.
Matt Kenseth has been dominant here over the past 4 races, especially in the July race. Toyota led 299 of the 301 laps that were run in July, and today already they have led 152 of the 154 laps that have been run. So Toyota has been dominant once again in the 2016 season at Loudon.
You saw Matt Kenseth with his hand out the window just telling Jimmy Johnson, hey, I appreciate the respect. You know, he didn't really have full position on him, but he showed Jimmy, hey, I'm faster. Jimmy gave the spot up, and Matt's hand out the window was just a sign, hey, thank you, I appreciate it. Get in that situation again, I'll return it.
Here comes Kevin Harvick. He looks to the inside of that 24. Just as you both had pointed out with that mirror, that's exactly, I'm sure, where the 24 of Chase Elliott is seeing the 4 is in that left side mirror.
Yeah, you saw the 24, how loose he got off the corner, and that allowed the 4 car to gain just a little bit. And that's how you pass it, Loudon. You gain inches at a time. You just gain a little bit. So right now, the 24s will get a pretty good run off the corner. You can see it's just a little bit better than the 4. The 4's just got to keep grinding and 1 inch at a time, ultimately get to where he's underneath the 24.
Well, and then all of these teams, we've talked about the laser and the skew and all these things all week long. Well, look at the left side tires in this 24. You see how much they move around just with air pressure and load on the wheel, how much the suspension moves around. This is what happens in racing conditions. The 24 Chase Elliott, he's not going to concede the spot. He's going to continue to battle. So as you go down to turn 3, watch how much the contact patch and the tires move around on the left side of this race car.
Kevin Harvick all the way on the left sides. He's going to try to turn and leave really low. Now the 18's getting into the battle. He couldn't do it, so he's going to end up giving the spot up to the 18.
Pretty good move by Kyle Busch, taking advantage of the 2 running side by side. And now the 4 trying to hang on to the position, but Kyle Busch makes the pass on the inside.
And this is one more frustrating thing for a driver. Kevin Harvick was so focused on passing Chase Elliott, had the pass almost complete, loses a spot. He has to maintain composure, get back in line. As you see Carl Edwards, the 4th car in line there, the white and light blue 19, little different colors on Carl Edwards this week. He's going to look inside the 4 of Kevin Harvick.
And the thing we've seen from the 4 so far in this race, it seems like long runs have been really good for Kevin Harvick, but on this run, it seems to be hurting him a little bit. It seems like on this latter part of this run, he's losing some spots as opposed to the first run, that long green flag run, that really helped him. You see right here, the 4 is underneath, making a good move right there. He loses rear grip, has no choice but to lift. That opens the door for the 18 of Kyle Busch.
And Kyle Busch moves up another spot. Dave.
And Rick, that last pit stop was the first time they made an adjustment on Kevin Harvick's race car. It was to help the center of the corner, but that adjustment may be coming back out because it looks like that's where he's having the most trouble now.
So the adjustment made to the 4, they may have to take that adjustment back out the next time they're on pit road. Martin Truex Jr., 124 laps led already today. And welcome back to New Hampshire Motor Speedway. The caution has come out for just the second time. Debris on the backstretch has brought out this second caution. And once again, and that looks like a spring rubber that has fallen out of the car. And once again, we've talked about the free pass and who was in position to get it. Because of that long green flag run, Martin Truex Jr. was able to put Danica Patrick a lap down, and that car was in front of Joey Logano. So Logano once again won't receive the free pass.
Yeah, but the strategy used by her crew chief is what put her there. They did not pit when everyone else pitted. Their last pitted on lap 76. He left her on the racetrack, although she got lapped. That strategy was perfect, and she will get the free pass because she was the first car one lap down.
You're right. When the crew chief left her on the racetrack, she got the wave around. She was 2 down. She got the wave around, got back to where she was, but got back in the lead lap. And right here, Martin Truex Jr. laps Danica Patrick just a few laps before the caution. This is the same thing, Jeff. You mentioned that it happened to Kevin Harvick. Joey Logano is fast enough to beat all the other cars 1 lap down, but as cars become lapped, he's not right behind the leader to lap them also. So now it's decision time, 40 laps worth of fuel. Do they decide to pit and try to fight for the free pass or take the wave around? We'll have to see. But first, we're going to have all the leaders on pit road.
Lead lap cars making their way onto pit road. Mike?
And Jimmy Johnson has been saying the car's been getting freer and freer as the run goes on. They're going to try to tighten him up right now with a wedge adjustment, also an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel for Johnson. Meanwhile, Matt Kenseth's car has been a little bit snug in the center. They're going to try to free him up with an air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. Martin Truex Jr. just completed his stop. A 2-tire change there for the guy who's dominated this race so far. Marty?
Chase Elliott said the center tight conditions what's really hurting my time. He said also the longer we run, the exit goes away. You see that half round of wedge coming out of the left side for the 24 car, and we'll see the exit around the 2 car as well. Nice clean stop for the 24 bunch.
See the race off pit road. Kyle Busch, 2-tire stop, gained 3 spots. Martin Truex Jr., a 2-tire stop, held the lead. NASCAR on NBCSN is brought to you by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Toyota, let's go places. And by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. That is beautiful Concord, New Hampshire, population 42,000. That's about 5 miles south of the racetrack. And we take a look at some of the drivers that are doing wave arounds.
So basically, Rick, the leaders all pitted back at lap 125. We're currently at lap 169. So the 3 of Austin Dillon, the 22 of Joey Logano, they aren't going to come down, change tires, fuel up, and go and battle for the free pass. They've stayed on the racetrack. All the lead lap cars have pitted, which then means they re-enter the racetrack behind them. So now when they get one to go, all of the cars in front of the leader, between the pace car and the leader, will get waved around, get their lap back. So they'll instantly get a lap back. Chris Buescher will go from 2 laps down to 1 lap down. So a strategy call here for all of these drivers to get their lap back. As you watch Chris Buescher here, will pass the pace car and go around and catch the back of the field.
Pretty close call for the Ford team on pit road. Take a look at this. Guy had to catch the tire, and sometimes they'll bounce off the wall and then bounce back out, as we saw at Chicagoland last week with Eric Almirola. But he was able to catch it, and he had another guy grabbing him.
It's a good thing, because if not, it would have been a penalty. So remember, now we're getting ready to have one of these restarts we keep talking about. But to make things more complicated, the front row, both these cars are on 2 tires. So how are 2 tires going to respond versus 4 tires? I can promise you right now that Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch, they're doing everything in their power to get as much heat in those old left side tires as they possibly can.
Well, and Cole Pern would have wanted to put 4 tires on, but that's a tough call because as the leader, if you choose 4 and 10 cars take only 2 tires, you're going to lose your track position with that only being about a 40-lap run. They were aggressive with their pit call. We'll see if it pays off.
I also find it interesting Martin Truex Jr. decided to go to the inside line as opposed to the outside. He was dominant last restart. Let's see how he does this time.
I think it comes down to the leader being able to control the restart, and that's what Martin Truex proves on the front stretch. He gaps the 20 and accelerates out of the box first.
We've got the 20 with the new tires, the 4 new tires, easily by the 18.
Matt Kenseth up to second. Kyle Busch back to third.
He knows Martin Truex has 2 tires. He knows right now this may be an opportunity, so look for Matt Kenseth to try to push the issue right here.
And look how much the 18 on 2 tires is stacking up the field. We talk about craziness on restarts. We're seeing it now. The 24 of Chase Elliott is trying to be patient. But right behind him, the 19 of Carl Edwards. How patient can he be?
The other thing that requires a little bit of patience is when you are that car on the outside and you try to pinch the guy down on the bottom, if you're not careful and you pinch him down too much, you're going to get hit in the left rear quarter panel and get spun out. So you want to push the guy on the bottom, just like the 4 is to the 19 and the 48 is to the 19, but there's a risk in doing that.
Side by side for position. Continuing with Carl Edwards down on the inside in that 19. Still outside of the pit window as far as being able to complete this race without coming back to pit road. There's 127 laps to go. Martin Truex Jr. able to hold off Matt Kenseth on this restart. But here comes Casey Kane in the 5, moving to the inside. And a little contact there between Casey Kane and the 1 of Jamie McMurray.
We haven't talked much about Casey Kane today. Remember, he had to start shotgun on the field in the last position because he had to change that track bar adjuster or motor during inspection today. But he has done a great job, driven it up inside the top 10, has showed good speed. We'll have to see as he gets closer to the front. Well, that track position, is that all he needs to contend for a win?
On that last run, Steve, they did solve something as you see Chase Elliott taking the position now from Kyle Busch going down into turn 3. One thing that got better for Casey Kane that last time was he said it took off better. You know where that might pay dividends. The end of the race on a short run, maybe running for the checkers.
That is a big advantage because, as we keep saying, the stats will show you there should be more restarts at the end of this race. So as much as you want a good long-run car, you need to make sure it's good on the restarts. As we see Martin Truex still holding on with those 2 tires, but Matt Kenseth is going to put the pressure on him.
A whole lot of movement from the 78 getting into the corner. You saw how loose he was. I thought he was going to give up more position than he did. He did a really good job to maintain his speed, but watch for the corner entry to see if the 78 continues to get loose.
Now, is this a strategy move by the 78 for the next time onto pit road where they might only change 2 tires?
No, I actually think it's the opposite. This puts them behind compared to the rest of the cars. The 2 tires are going to put them where they actually need 4 tires on the next pit stop, where some of these teams will change only 2. This was a strategy call by Cole Pern, not willing to give up that valuable track position. That's a decision you have to make. He made it. It was a gamble. We'll have to see as it pays off as this long run continues.
And remember, they're learning what their car does on 2 tires, but the entire field is watching. I promise you the entire field is paying attention. If the 78 can continue to run well as the 18 with 2 tires, then the next caution if we don't go too long, you'll see a lot of two-tire stops.
But Rick, there's no pressure on the 78. They won last
right.
week. Cole Pern, he's sitting up there, feet up, relax. We got to win. Let's put 2 tires on it and see if it works.
And so far, the gamble has paid off for the 78, but now the 20 of Matt Kenseth once again peeking to the inside of the 78.
One thing that the 78 does, he stays out a long time against the wall before he turns down. He's not going to be able to do that right now with Matt Kenseth in this spot. He's got the spot.
Kenseth takes the lead away from Truex Jr.
Matt Kenseth was going to have to push the issue because if you look right behind the 78, who's coming into frame? But that blue Napa Chevrolet of Chase Elliott.
How about Matt Kenseth out in front? 2 straight wins at this racetrack, and once again out front at Loudon. Sprint's network reliability now within 1% of Verizon's, which today save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. You can visit a Sprint store or sprint.com/network today.
So Rick, let's talk right now about strategy, 2 tires versus 4 tires. This does not mean that 2 tires is that you're only going to do 4 tires the rest of the day. Because if we would have had 12 or 14 people to do 2 tires would look great.
Right.
Because the first car on 4 tires would have restarted in 15th, and he's not going to get there. So as this race winds down, we're seeing 2 tires may not be the way to go, but it is a compromise between track position and better grip. In this case, not many did 2, so it doesn't look great, but as this race moves on, that could change.
Matt Kenseth now out in front of the field at Loudon. NASCAR America, weekdays at 6 o'clock, giving you all the information taking place not only for the weekend, but looking ahead to the next week. Next week will be Dover. And Steve, I know you and Jeff will both be a part of tomorrow's show as we break down what takes place on the track today.
I thought there for 1 second we may be talking about Carl Edwards spinning Jimmy Johnson out. They made contact in the middle of the corner there, and Jimmy did a nice job not to get spun out.
Welcome back to the Bad Boy Off-Road 300. Casey Kane looking to the inside of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Let's take a look at this week's Ford Drive to the Championship. And as they run, because of the win at Chicagoland, Martin Truex Jr. up top, and because of the lead right now, Matt Kenseth, if he were to continue on and get the win, he would have a automatic ticket into the round of 12. Everyone else fighting for points right now.
But here's the problem, Rick, with 113 to go and all 40 cars still on the racetrack. 39 of them within a handful of laps of the leader. In any of those cars, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, they look good right now, but if they have an issue, even in the closing laps of this race, they're going to lose 20, 30, 35 points potentially just in a few laps.
So everything is critical. Every position is critical on the racetrack. Take another look at what just took place with the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Seems as though a little bit of a handling issue for this 48.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to see, but I think the handling issue was caused because the right front fender was in the left rear quarter panel.
Here's a better shot.
Better view. Yeah, a little bit of contact, but you can see the 48 got up the racetrack a little bit, was having a little bit of trouble. The 19 had a little bit of trouble. They made contact. And
I call those assisted handling issues right there. Those are assisted handling issues.
Carl Edwards assisting Jimmy Johnson around the track. Now, Casey Kane in the 5, closing the gap on the 48s as we see teammates running nose to tail.
And this is a tough position for the 5 of Casey Kane as he gets so close to that left rear quarter panel. Remember, he didn't qualify for the chase. The 48 Jimmy Johnson is in the chase, battling in the 8th position.
Keep trying.
Casey Kane wants to get by. He's better than Jimmy Johnson. He's not giving his teammate a break, but he also can't hit his teammate, can't wreck his teammate in the playoffs. This right here is a nice run, though. I think Jimmy Johnson's going to have to concede the position. He knows the 5 cut him a little slack off turn 4 the last lap.
And you said it, Steve. It is a difficult place to be. When you're not in the chase, you don't want to be the story. You want to be involved in something where a chase guy got in a wreck and you caused it. But at the same time, this racetrack belongs to you as much as it does them. You have the right to go out and try to win this race, get a good finish. So it's a balance between the aggressiveness and respect for the guys that are trying to win a championship. And it's a tough spot to be in.
Well, and the tough spot to be in, Casey Kane, running 8th. Oh, the only non-chaser in the top 13. So, I mean, he's there with 12 other chase drivers. We've said it last weekend. We'll say it this weekend. We'll say it again at Dover. It'll be a broken record. There's a reason these 16 teams have made the playoffs, because they continually run up front. Casey Kane is the exception to that rule currently at the moment.
The other highest non-chase runner on the track is Ryan Newman, running 14th, Kelly.
And no matter the outcome of this race, plenty of reason for Ryan's crew chief, Luke Lambert, to celebrate. He and his wife, Jamie, welcomed their 3rd child this week, a little girl named Ruby Lynn. Now, he got home from the race in Chicago just in time to be bedside with his wife, Jamie, as she was at the hospital. And here in New Hampshire, he is still wearing his hospital ID tag around his wrist with his wife's name on it. He said he brought it here as a good luck charm. He said his wife and their other 2 children are all healthy, happy. The kids happy to now have a little baby sister. But Luke Lambert with a special good luck charm on his wrist today.
Congratulations to Luke and Jamie. The birth of Ruby Lynn, as we see Ryan Newman continuing to fight for that 14th spot. Now, I look at the 42 of Kyle Larson, and here's a driver who was outside the top 12 in points, has shown great speed for the short term for this racetrack, but we've seen long green flag runs, and that sees Kyle Larson drop continually down. He's running 12th.
Yeah, that's a matter of this race. That's this racetrack. This racetrack is so difficult to be good on a short run and a long run, and it's not that big of a deal until you add what happened in Chicago. They ran very well at Chicago, running 7th, had to pit late in that race and relegated them to a poor finish. So to have 2 finishes in a row outside of the top 10, top 12 would put these guys in a hole going to Dover. Now remember, we've seen him run very well at Dover. We saw him push Matt Kenseth to the very end, but he doesn't want to have to be in this position. But if something doesn't change in this race, they'll go to Dover needing a very, very good finish, if not a win.
And right now, no one is pushing Matt Kenseth. He has a 2.5 lead over Mark Truex Jr. He won here in the fall of 2013. And then also the last 2 races at Loudon, New Hampshire, he has been celebrating in victory lane. Matt Kenseth out in front. Take a look at today's lap leaders, brought to you by Proudly Propane. Martin Truex Jr. has led 141 laps, and he will be the lap leader as far as the most laps led for today's race. No one else can catch him at 141 laps led. Carl Edwards 31, Matt Kenseth 23. It has been a Toyota-dominated race. Only 3 laps that have been led by non-Toyotas in today's race. Marty.
Well, guys, here's the dilemma for Joey Logano, and all those cars that took the wave around a moment ago, they're going to have to pit very soon. Talked to Todd Gordon a moment ago. He said they might try and stretch it until lap 225, but that would be a stretch if they can go that far. Finally getting themselves back on the lead lap. When I asked him about taking that wave around, he told me it was really our only choice. He said, I felt like when those 2 front leaders took 2 tires, that opened it up, and plus the fact that 10 other cars were going to take the wave around, that opened it up as well. So the 22 team ready. How long can they stay out there, and do they get a caution before that moment? Could be a key moment in the chase right now for Joey Logano.
Yeah, and the other issue is he is only basically 2/3 of the straightaway from going a lap down on the racetrack. So what that means is if they don't get a caution and Joey Logano needs to pit, he's not going to lose a lap. He's going to lose 2 laps. And then if the caution comes out somewhere timely after that, before those new tires can help him recover, that gamble to get his lap back is going to be a huge blow for the 22. I like the gamble. I agreed with Todd Gordon. Even in the position they're in now, they can't just sit back and wait to get their lap back, but they need that caution to come out. I don't think they can make it to 225. I know that's what Todd Gordon is saying, but Marty, you saw it, you heard it in his voice. That's a big stretch for this 22 car. I'm expecting them more around lap 220.
And remember, it's not just Logano, it's Austin Dillon in the same exact spot. Austin Dillon's right behind Logano, 2 cars behind, 1 car behind him rather, and he's in the exact same spot, number of laps, all this situation. So you have 2 guys trying to move into the round of 12. This is a big moment in this chase, as Marty said.
Joey Logano coming in was 5th based upon the point standings, but Logano not wanting to be in a position, as did Todd Gordon said, they don't want to be in a must-win position when they go to Dover next weekend. Dave.
You guys talked about it. Austin Dillon in that orange 3 car took the wave around on the lap 165 debris caution. I just checked in with his crew chief, Slugger Labby. I said, have you improved the car? And he said, yeah, all day long. We just need to get our lap back. They'll need to be on pit road in the next 7 to 10 laps.
Ricky, you see right there the points. The 22 is only plus 10. So that's plus 10 at the situation he's at with things still going okay. If he's forced to come to pit road for fuel, he's going to be below the cut line. He's going to lose more than 10 points just coming to pit road one time.
And again, he was on pit road at lap 125. That was the last time he was on pit road. So he has been out on the track for over 80 laps now. We had mentioned that the pit window would be around 88 laps on the outside, but there have been some caution laps. So when they're under caution, obviously they can save fuel. But they are definitely going to be stretching it for Joey Logano, and you see the 20 right now is behind the 22 of Joey Logano's just gone by the 3 as we go NASCAR nonstop. Sunday Night Football is live from Arlington, Texas tonight. Chicago Bears visit the Cowboys. Dan Patrick and Mike Tirico host Football Night in America beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern only on NBC. Only 2 cautions have come out today as we take a look at the track record presented by Sprint. 2 is the track record back in 1997. Sprint's network reliability is now within 1% of Verizon. Switch today and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. Visit a Sprint store or sprint.com/network today. 2 cautions, guys. We had talked about restarts being very important, and there were going to be multiple cautions coming out. Are they racing cautiously, and that's why we're not seeing more cautions today?
We just haven't gotten close enough to the finish. They're coming. They're still coming.
I love your confidence.
How many times we have to look at the stats? The first half of this race, 2, 3 cautions is on average. The second half, 3, 4, 5. They are coming.
Let's hear a little bit more about race leader Matt Kenseth. We go to Mike.
Well, you know, Rick, I spoke with his crew chief this morning, Jason Ratcliffe, and I asked him what needs to happen here today for you to feel comfortable going to Dover next week. And he just laughed. He said, I think the only way we're going to feel comfortable is if we win. Well, it looks like he's being true to his word, looking for their 3rd consecutive win here in New Hampshire, 4th overall. Rick?
And it looks as though a couple guys coming to pit road. Dave?
Yep, one of those is Austin Dillon. They gave that whole lap back up. The wave around did not work out for them, so they're going to get 4 tires and fuel. Again, Slugger Labby telling me that the car is better than it was, but track position, just nothing for the 3. And remember, his weekend started by wrecking a primary race car that was their new generation, hoping to take Austin Dillon to his first championship in his first chase. That car not being used here, and it's definitely a detriment to them.
And it's definitely been a long weekend for this 3 of Austin Dillon, and with this pit stop, he's going to fall well outside the top 20, actually all the way down to perhaps the 25th, 26th position. That's going to be hard to recover from, looking at being about 18 or 20 points from the cut line currently.
Right now, he's got to run as hard as he can. He's got to push these new tires to try to gain some ground as 22's on pit road.
Joe Logano also coming to pit road now as he was running out of fuel right at the end of his fuel window. And Marty.
And Rick Steve made the call. He thought they would come at lap 220. Here we are on 219, finally coming to pit road. Tried to leave him out there as long as he could. Todd Gordon making the call finally to come to pit road. Logano said the car is tight in the center, loose on exits. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and all the fuel they can stand inside this 22 car. They're going to wait on fuel here. Hopefully this might cycle out. They might still be in a decent spot, but Logano been battling back from being a lap down all day long, Rick.
Rick, that is really the only hope the 22 can have now, is they need this race to go all the way to the finish. They need the leaders to hit pit road. Then a caution to come out would be okay. So I expect the leaders to be on pit road in about 30 laps. Joey Logano, he needs the next 30 laps to run green. A caution in this next 30 laps is really going to doom the chances of the 22.
And those few laps that Joey Logano waited to pit as opposed to Austin Dillon, that put Joey Logano behind Austin Dillon. So Austin Dillon is now in 24th, 2 laps back. These 2 guys have to push. They have to push exceptionally hard, gain as many positions as they can. And as you said, hope the caution doesn't come out. And if the caution does come out after everybody's pitted, they'll be okay. But if the caution comes out soon, it's going to bite them.
For more on the cars that are on the lead lap, we go to Mike.
And Martin Truex Jr. has picked up pretty much where he left off here back in July. Although he had a shifter break that day, he led 123 laps. Today, again, over 100. A pretty dominant afternoon, although he's not leading now. He feels like the gap between him and Matt Kenseth has stabilized. The difference between 2 tires and 4 have evened out right now. But they took a chance on pit road last time with 2 tires, and right now things have settled down. Dave?
Rodney Childers put Kevin Harvick's 20th place finish in perspective, noting that they are just below the cut line coming into today's race, really just behind by 1 point. So what do they want to do today? A nice solid top 5 and go to Dover, where they've been so successful in the past, Marty.
Dave, about 30 laps until these other leaders stop. Chase Elliott in the 4th position right now, and they have picked a good time of the year to find some consistency. 3 top 10s in the last 4 races. Chase saying right now, car just too tight in the center. Kelly?
On that last caution, Kyle Busch pitted from 5th, took 2 tires, came out 2nd. Now he runs once again back in that 5th position. Nothing really gained or lost there, but he has been struggling with the rear tires, and now he's just saying he's got to figure out how to to get rid of the separation between the center of his turns and the exit of it. Marty?
Kelly, been a very consistent day for Carl Edwards, who said earlier this week, it amazes me, in fact, it shocks me how well all the JGR teammates are still getting along, sharing information. It's making us all better. Everybody wants to know the key for Toyota. That's the key. We're sharing that information. Carl says the longer they run, better that car gets, Kelly.
His teammate Denny Hamlin looking for his 10th straight top 10 finish. They've been working on this car all day long, but the first time down pit road, the wrench fell out as they tried to make a wedge adjustment, so they had to make up for that. They're still struggling. Denny's saying that his car's just snapping loose everywhere, wanting to make sure his crew chief didn't go the wrong way on some adjustments. They'll be looking to make more next time down pit road, Rick.
So Denny Hamlin currently running in the 7th spot. Casey Kane, the highest running non-chaser, running right behind him in 8th. Jimmy Johnson 9th, and Kurt Busch in 10th. But it's Matt Kenseth that's out front. Kenseth has now led 47 of the 225 laps. But again, green flag pit stops could be coming up in about 15 laps as we go NASCAR nonstop. From the Magic Mile to the Monster Mile. Next week, NASCAR is on NBCSN. Saturday, race 2 of the Xfinity Series Chase. Coverage starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, an elimination race for the Sprint Cup Series. Coverage begins at 1:30 p.m. Who will advance to the round of 12? Mike, the 78.
Yeah, Rick, and last time down pit road, they took only 2 tires, so it looks like they're going to have to take 4 tires here. Service on the right side complete now as they work on the left side. Also full load of Sunoco race fuel. Kelly?
Denny Hamlin comes to pit road from the 7th position. He said he was tight through the center, and he feels like he's losing time to his competitors on the exit of the turns. You see the wrench go in. They make a chassis adjustment. There'll also be 4 tires and a fuel for the 11 car.
Matt Kenseth on pit road now said the car fired off really good that run. A 4-tire change here for the 20 car, along with an air pressure adjustment and fuel. Quick stop for the 20 team.
Marty.
Biggest problem for Kurt Busch during that run, he said in the middle of it, my dash just quit. Then the dash came back on right now, a little bit too free. Tony Gibson told him, we need a little bit more out of you, not much. We need to concentrate on that top 10. That's kind of where they've been running all afternoon long, Dave.
Evan Harvick was scored the leader on that last lap. That's a point. That is important. He skids to a stop right in his pit box. The adjustment got the back end a little bit better, but he needs more rear grip on exit. It'll be another air pressure adjustment, Marty.
Chase Elliott running fourth when he came to pit road, Dave, and he said the last adjustment was good. Car was really good at the end of the run. He lost a little bit of drive off. That's it. So they made no adjustments. They thought about a wedge adjustment, decided not to do it. Front of pit road, Carl Edwards up there with a car that still is very good at the end of the run. A little too tight in the center of the corner. Small air pressure adjustment trying to loosen that car up for Carl as he leaves pit road.
48 out in front of the 19 as the 2 is on his way down pit road. Marty?
Brad Keselowski was saying we have the speed of the leaders, but it takes all I have to run a fast lap like I need to. He's gone down on the track bar several times inside the car, way too loose on exit for Brad Keselowski, something they've been struggling with all afternoon long. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment and a wedge adjustment, Dave.
Tony Stewart is on pit road. The car has been a mess the second half of the race. Look at that wedge adjustment in the left rear window. It's been all over the place. He identified the problem at about halfway. They've been trying to diagnose it since, but it's been a real problem for the three-time champ.
Tony Stewart coming off of pit road as the green flag pit stops have cycled through. Paul Menard still needs to come to pit road, as does Ryan Blaney. Danica Patrick also staying out on the track, as you see Matt Kenseth just in front of the 78s.
Well, the Cole Pern and the 78, very aggressive. They came to pit road at least 15 laps before they needed fuel, but they wanted to get new tires on this car. They were about a second and 2/10, a second and a quarter behind the 20. That 1 lap sooner to pit road, they gained this time, but I have to applaud the 20. They made a big call. Jason Ratcliffe saw what the 78 was trying to do, got his driver on pit road the next lap. That's the only reason they maintained what will be the lead when Danica Patrick pits. But now this, in my mind, is the battle for the race win.
And remember the last time we saw these two teams battling early after a restart, the 78 had 2 tires, the 20 had 4. So now it's an equal ground. Now let's see if the 78's as good as he was early in the race with 4 tires.
Matt Kenseth trying to make it 3 in a row from Loudon, New Hampshire here at the Magic Mile, and it's been magical for Matt Kenseth. Martin Truex Jr. will go down as leading the most laps, as he's led 141, but Matt Kenseth continuing to add to his number as he has now led 54 laps.
And what a great drive by all these race teams. We talked so much about penalties. Green flag pit stops a couple times today. No speeding penalties yet.
We go NASCAR nonstop as the battle for the lead continues. Caution has come out as the 46 of Michael Annett got into the wall in turn 2. And that brought the caution out for the third time today, as we see entering turn 2 there, the 46 up against the wall. Interesting now, the situation. Danica Patrick stayed out on the racetrack. She was scored as the race leader, and drivers like Kenseth, Truex Jr, Harvick, Chase Elliott, they were all catching her. But now, because she stayed out, what will the other drivers do that were just on pit road?
Well, I think they're all going to stay out. Danica Patrick is going to pit. But I want to take a minute and say Billy Scott, the crew chief of Danica Patrick, has called a spectacular race, a great race. They haven't had pace, but time again, he's found a strategy, whether it's earlier when he took the wave around and then got the free pass. Now he decides to stay out on a run. He is doing an amazing job giving Danica Patrick the best opportunity to finish on the lead lap, perhaps up in the top 15 today.
Free pass is going to go to the 21 of Ryan Blaney. He was the highest score car 1 lap down. Danica finished 4th here in July, 14th, excuse me, in her July was her best finish here, as she will come to pit road, having to come to pit road. They had stayed out.
And a few in the middle of the pack I expect to come, maybe back around McMurray, Keselowski, Larson, but everyone up in the top 10, they're going to stay on pit road. Kelly?
And she comes to pit road from the lead after a little bit of strategy work there by her crew chief, Billy Scott. She has been battling a car that's been tight through the center, loose in and off. They've been making wedge adjustments to help her out, Mike.
Chad Knaus being aggressive with his pit calls last time down pit road, made wedge adjustments on both sides of the chassis. Another wedge adjustment this time. 4 tires and fuel. He needs some more drive off. Marty.
And Mike, we always see this here in New Hampshire, some different pit strategies. Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, and Brad Keselowski all coming. You saw 2 tires there for Carl Edwards and his team. It's going to be 4 for the 41 of Kurt Busch and 4 for Brad Keselowski as well. This is going to be interesting and certainly mix up the field, Rick.
58 laps to go, and as Steve and Jeff both pointed out, the possibility exists this might not be the last caution, as we will have a restart 2 wide when we come back. Following today's race on NBCSN, stay tuned for the NASCAR America post-race show presented by Advance Auto Parts. Be sure to catch Victory Lap at 6 p.m. tonight on NBCSN. Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr., Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, all staying out on the racetrack. They're the top 6. Ryan Newman, Danica Patrick came to pit road and she is back out on the track in 8th. Issues on pit road for the 41, though, of Kurt Busch. Take a look at this stop.
See right here, both cars get into their pits. The 19 takes 2 tires. The 41 seemed relatively smooth on the right side, but then the left side, the jack drops with no tires on it, and crew has to lift up to get the jack back underneath it. They put those tires on, but the damage is done. In today's world of pit stops, any hiccup slows these stops down, and that was a big mistake.
They pitted running 11th, came out 16th.
Can't make mistakes if you want to win a championship. Kurt Busch drops back to 16. Welcome back. Matt Kenseth looking for his 3rd straight win from Hampshire Motor Speedway. Martin Truex Jr. after the win at Chicagoland. Does he have anything that he has to worry about? He's already advancing into the round of 12. Can he throw caution to the wind and do whatever he has to do to try to win this race?
Well, you also have to understand that the cars you're racing, they really, really want the win. So you have to be careful. You can throw caution to the wind, but understand that Matt Kenseth, he's had a dominant car as well. And if you lean on him, he might lean back. We have seen bumping and banging in the chase before. And with the wind meaning so much, Jeff, I expect to see some pushing and shoving here on these restarts.
You're going to have to push and shove. Even if you just want to maintain position, you're going to have to push and shove. And then you go behind him. You look at Kevin Harvick. We saw Kevin Harvick run so well last week, but not get the finish he needed. Starting next to Chase Elliott. Well, Chase Elliott, we've talked about so many opportunities to win races, haven't been able to capitalize. This is another chance for Chase Elliott, who's going to start in 4th.
Would you like to give Matt Kenseth some advice right now so that he doesn't win this race and you stay on top of this list as the most wins at this racetrack?
No. I just want to see a good race. I just want to see a good race.
So well, you look, you have Kenseth and Truex on the front row. They have had great cars tonight. In the second row, we have Harvick and Chase Elliott. Harvick had to start back in 19th, has recovered well. Kyle Busch is having a good day. But how about Casey Kane in the 6th position? Casey Kane started last, a disappointing year, missed the chase. We talked about him in the late going at Chicagoland, started on the front row, and here he is again, aggressive with their pit call, starting inside the top 6 with 53 to go.
Matt Kenseth chose the outside line. Is that the right move for this restart?
Well, it seems to have worked so far. It's all about how you launch. If Matt Kenseth can leave the restart zone ahead of the 78, then it doesn't matter what lane he goes in. If they leave together, then he's got to pinch the 78 down. But again, if you pinch him too much, you take a chance of getting spun out.
They're about to go wicked fast as they enter the restart zone. Green flag back in the air.
And he got the restart he wanted. Now he can go any lane he wants to.
And look at them. They spread out behind him. That's exactly what they did, Jeff. As soon as they got out past the start-finish line, they were 2 and 3 wide.
Things tightening up. 2-3 wide behind race leader Matt Kenseth. They fan out to 4 wide as they get ready to come into turn 4. Excuse me, 3. They got to get through 3 first.
And that is in question. Look at those cars, the big mess. They have cars on the apron, cars in the middle of the racetrack.
Great fight for position. It's give and take, and right now, people have been pretty good at giving. Kenseth Truex separated by about 1/10 of a second. Now less. Here comes Martin Truex Jr. Looks to the inside of Matt Kenseth.
But you know there's no more conceding. Matt Kenseth drove it in super deep on the outside to try to hold off the position, but the 78's not going away. He's still on his bumper.
Matt Kenseth just has to focus on his car, not worry about Martin Truex. Hit your marks, Put the car exactly where you want it to be. Be fast where you can be. Make sure he does not get underneath you on corner exit.
That's how far back from first to second. Under 50 laps to go. Once again, a good run through the middle of the turn for the 78.
He catches him in the middle of the corner, but it's so tough to pass in the middle of the corner. He has to get off the corner better, and he's yet to be able to do that.
Not teammates, but there is an alliance between Joe Gibbs Racing and Furniture Row Racing, which is what Martin Truex Jr. is driving for.
Well, this tale of two stories right here. You have Martin Truex Jr. He's guaranteed to be in the round of 12. He won last week. Matt Kenseth, though, trying to give himself a guarantee, but the best defense is a great offense. Can the 70 and Martin Truex keep Matt Kenseth out of victory lane?
And that's what Martin Truex Jr. is trying to do. Would like to sweep the round of 16, just as Joey Logano did the round of 12 a year ago. And a little bit of contact with the wall here by the 42. Just brushes the wall, not a lot of damage. There's the gap between 1 and 2. Kenseth still holding on to the advantage.
Talk about Martin Truex and how bad he needs to win this race. He doesn't need to win this race because he's already in the round of 12, but he desperately wants to win this race. This is his hometown track. His family's won races here. He wants this to be a victory because being from this area, when you win your hometown race, it means a great deal. It just is so important. We heard Logano talk about winning this race. He said it was as big as his Daytona 500 win. So when you're from an area, it means that much more to win that race.
And Jeff Martin said that much as we see the battle now between Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick starting to heat up here a little bit. Harvick looking to the inside of Elliott, looking to pick up position. But what Truex said was that he'd been coming to this racetrack since he was a young teenager, watching his dad race here. His dad has won here. His brother Ryan has won here in other series. But believe me, he wants to add a Cup Series trophy to the Truex archives. Big battle here between the 4 and 24.
And I'm really looking at this 4 car. If he can clear the 24 with 46 to go, I consider this a reasonably long run. And on these longer runs, as the 18 and the 10 move up the racetrack beat and bang, I expect this 4 to get faster as the run proceeds, and Jimmy Johnson's going to try to take them both on into turn 1. Chooses wisely of it.
That is for position. The 10 of Danica Patrick and the 18 of Kyle Busch. Danica Patrick running 7th. Kyle Busch taking that spot now away, and Danica Patrick runs 8th. Here comes Jimmy Johnson. Danica Patrick had her best finish at this racetrack of 14th as she tries to hang on to this position, racing on the outside of the 48.
Tight battle right there. We saw Danica trying to pinch the 48 off. Remember, Danica's not in the chase, but this racetrack is as much of hers as anybody else. She has an opportunity to go out and have a good finish. She needs to race hard and be aggressive, and that's what she's doing. She's trying to pinch the drivers off, trying to keep them from getting in the lane they want to be. We talked about it earlier. There's a risk in doing that as it's 3 wide behind her.
Alex Bowman in the 88s on the inside of the 19 of Carl Edwards. Edwards trying to get by Newman now. Guys, let's talk about strategies. We're now under 43 to go, brought to you by Smithfield Foods. What's the strategy with these drivers running up front?
Well, we've talked about it all day long. The cautions, we just had one. Are they done? I don't feel they are, so it's going to come down to restarts. And then if we do have restarts, Jeff, do you have your car dialed in for the short run or as the track changes?
And that's what you're learning right now. Big battle for the lead.
Here comes Martin Truex Jr. looking to the inside once again. Does he have enough? No. About 4 feet separated him that time from being close enough that Matt Kenseth would have to adjust his line.
I have a feeling Martin Truex is getting ready to get a little more aggressive. He had a good run on Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth racing to try to move into the round of 12. Did not give any room whatsoever to Truex in the corner. Really cut down on him hard trying to protect that spot. That continues. Truex is going to up the intensity.
Yeah, and look at the ghost points on the left side of the screen. The points are in. This win, look what it would do. The 20 would then be in, guaranteed. Some other cars having good runs. The 1 of McMurray, the 22 still plus 12 over that cut line.
The 4 of Kevin Harvick, 14 points above the cut line, which is definitely what they need going into the final race at Dover of this round of 16.
You can see right there, you can see if Truex is quicker than Kenseth in the middle of the corner, but just can't get his car to turn on corner exit. So just watch right here. Watch him gain as they get in the middle of the corner. Right here, every lap he makes a run, but then Kenseth's able to accelerate and get on the straightaway and stay even with Truex. He's not beating him, but he's staying even. As long as he stays even, Truex can't make that move.
But with 40 to go, how patient does Truex stay? Is he happy that he has a win and he's in the round of 12? Does he not want to make an enemy of Matt Kenseth? Or does he have enough confidence that he would put a bumper to the 20 to try to get a win? And look at the damage to the left rear of the 95.
And how many times have we seen Matt Kenseth leading a race with somebody behind him, pushing him late in the race? Think about he and Joey Logano last year. You think about he and Kyle Larson at Dover. I mean, Matt Kenseth many times has had to protect this position to try to get a win.
NASCAR's taking a look at the 95. A little bit of tire smoke. It looks like some tire rub. They had some damage to the left rear quarter panel. NASCAR's making sure that that's not potentially going to blow a tire and cause a wreck. So they've told the team, make sure to put a plan together. If it looks as though there's a lot of tire rub, you've got to do something about that. Kenseth and Truex still battling for the lead impressively. As these two have been battling for the lead, they've also been running away from the field. Kevin Harvick is 2.5 seconds back.
Well, but remember, Kevin Harvick is 2.5 seconds back. Before they started battling, that was Chase Elliott. Well, Kevin Harvick has gotten by Chase Elliott in the last couple laps, has gained about a tenth or a half on the leaders.
Marty.
As we watch the battle for the lead, you see the left side of your screen, concern for Kurt Busch, who is on the bottom. Caution right now, Rick.
Well, we showed you that
95.
That's right. We showed you that 95 with all the damage. It finally did rub the left rear tire, and the caution is on the racetrack.
Here's coming underneath you.
That was Kenseth and Martin Truex Jr. that went just underneath the 95, as the 95 is going to try to make its way to pit road. Take a look at the initial contact here between Clint Boyer and Michael McDowell.
Yeah, you see the 15 and the 95 get together, and there's pretty heavy damage on that left rear. We've seen how easy it is for that tire to be cut down, and then right here, just the tire's flat. He's trying to do his best to get to pit road, but loops it. And the issue is here, that's right in the racing groove as he goes back up the racetrack.
And the free pass is going to go to the 22 of Joey Logano. So they have battled back and will now be on the lead lap.
And think about this. While it's going to be next to impossible in 36 laps to go from the free pass to the race winner, points. He's back on the lead lap. That gives him the opportunity to gain those valuable points.
He's going to need a cycle, though. He's going to need another caution if he had to take advantage of it. So he has to start at the tail end. So who's going to pit here and who's going to stay out?
Quite a few faked, but now it's the 18 who chose to come to pit road, as does 10 of Danica Patrick, the 19 Carl Edwards, and the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Kelly.
And Kyle Busch saying that he needs help on entry. They're saying, should we go with Batman or Broncos? We'll see what the call is, and it will be 4 tires. They also made an adjustment to help him out with the handling of the 18, Marty.
Kelly, as the caution was coming out, we were talking about Kurt Busch. The water temperature was the concern. It was 317. You see the right side tires going on. They also removed tape from the grill. Carl Edwards at the front end of pit road. 4 tires for that race team, trying to take a chance here to get a win in round number 1.
Looked like the right side tires were smoking on the 41 of Kurt Busch as he was exiting pit road. So something we might want to take a look at as we go NASCAR nonstop before the restart comes back out here at Loudon, New Hampshire. Quite a few pit road penalties taking place here. The 11 had an uncontrolled tire. Take a look at this, though, for the 19 team.
That's what they call a pit cone violation. So the 19 car is pitting, decides to pit late, has his tires on this orange box. So here at New Hampshire, the rule, NASCAR's telling us the rule is you have to have all 4 tires below that orange box. There are some racetracks, Martinsville's one, Bristol's one, where they say left sides, but here it's all 4 tires.
Getting ready for the restart, Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr. Looks like Carl Edwards doesn't know where he's supposed to line up. Now he's getting ready to fall back. And as he falls back, they come into the restart zone. Kenseth on the outside, Truex Jr. on the inside. Green flag back in the air.
Well, with all those penalties, we didn't have a whole lot of time to tell you who did what. Well, Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch back there 8th, 9th, 10th. They pitted and put on fresh tires. They're going to try to work their way back up through traffic and run these 2 leaders down as the 20 and the 78 battle.
Oh, that was close. The 78 got really loose underneath. The 20 did a great job of slowing down and not getting to the side of the 20. Truex is he is full aggression mode though right now.
Matt Kenseth just in front of Martin Truex Jr. Here he goes again. Martin Truex Jr. to the inside as they go down the backstretch. Can the 78 complete the pass? That's just how close it is as they enter turn 3. Once again, the 78, a lower line through turns 3 and 4. Now has the inside line as they go to turn 1, trying to take the lead away.
Matt Kenseth doing all he can to pinch him off, and it worked. Matt Kenseth kept his left sides on that white line, made Martin Truex get all 4 of his tires on the flat, but Martin's not done battling.
Under 30 laps to go. Martin Truex Jr. trying to take the lead away again. Now up the racetrack he goes. Coming back out of turn number 4.
What a delicate balance right now for Matt Kenseth. He needs a good solid run to get points to move forward, but if he wins, that moves him forward. So how aggressive does he be? He's continuing to push that issue, continue to push the 78 down on the racetrack. That's all good until the 78 says that's enough. If he ever makes that decision, then the 20 will get knocked up the racetrack.
Look at the points on the left. We talked about the 19 having that penalty and the 11 having a penalty. Well, the 19 is now below the cut line trying to recover from that pit road violation.
How about 4 drivers? Logano, Harvick, the 41 of Kurt Busch, and the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, all 12 points above the line. Battle continues for the lead. Kenseth now with a little over a car length, separating he and Martin Truex Jr. Brad Keselowski, Jamie McMurray on the right side of your screen. Keselowski getting by Jamie McMurray. McMurray falls back to 9th.
What a great job Brad Keselowski and his team have done today. We saw them at one point almost a lap down, and they're now battling for a solid top 10 finish. So nice job battling back by this team.
A few cars did come to pit road, including the 18 of Kyle Busch, and last time by, Kyle Busch really fast lap, almost 29 seconds flat compared to everybody else running around 29.5, 29.4.
Yeah, Kyle Busch came and got tires. He's up to the 5th position, and he is flying. That last lap, as you mentioned, was so fast. It really is going to come down to how quickly he can get by Chase Elliott and the 4 of Kevin Harvick. How much does he have to abuse his equipment?
And we've seen how hard it is to pass. These guys are not just going to give him the spot. Every spot is 1 position, 1 point. So they're not going to move over and make it be easy for the 18. As Matt Kenseth continues to lead, he needs to get as much distance from the 18 as possible.
But look how he closes in on the 24 in the middle of the corner. I think Chase Elliott needs to understand Kyle is not going to have as many patience as other guys. He thinks he can get up and win that race. Be careful. As you mentioned, it's risk versus reward. Chase Elliott does a nice job letting him go. I know that it seems like he's giving up, but that's smart racing. He knows he's in 5th. He has the points he needs out of this weekend.
And there was a little bit of debate between Kyle Busch and his crew chief Adam Stevens on what to do for that last time down pit road. We heard him talking in code. Should it be Bettman? Should it be Broncos? We saw them. They came down to take 4 tires with crew chief Adam Stevens saying, you got to trust me on this one. We got to do what I say. It'll pay off later. It looks like it's paying off now. And he keeps reminding his driver, big picture, think big picture. Take what you can get now, but keep the big picture in mind.
big picture is a championship that he knows how to win because he did it a year ago. A guy fighting for his first championship, Martin Truex Jr. running second right now. This is what they had to say on the radio.
Feeling good, bud. Keep working him hard. The 4 cars, the next one back here behind you, he ran 29.43. Harvick ran the same time as you did last time.
That was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less. And I'm not sure any driver right now could worry less, as things are definitely escalating with just 23 laps to go.
And the 78, he was up there battling with the 20. He's fallen back a little bit. But, you know, this is a race with 23 to go. Jeff, these guys are all trying to be aggressive. But at the same time, you can't just kill your tires. That's somewhat of a longer run. You have to be a little bit patient, as we see Brad Keselowski also using those new tires to get by the 41 of Kurt Busch.
Now, Kurt Busch was on pit road earlier also, and we saw a little bit of smoke coming out of the 41. It looked as though it was coming out of the headers.
Yeah, but apparently it's still at speed. Marty?
Well, guys, that was the water temperature for the 41 that we were talking about as we shift to the battle for the lead. But how about the Keselowski bunch coming down? They've been battling a loose race car the entire time. Paul Wolfe said, let's take 4 tires and see what happens. They have gained a ton of ground since then. Also on that last caution, his teammate, Joey Logano, got the free pass. He's back on the lead lap. He's passing cars as well. So a nice rally for Team Penske here at the end of the afternoon.
Mile an hour faster for Kyle Busch than everybody else he's racing against. And if he continues to click those off, even though only 21 laps to go, he's looking pretty strong. And I'm guessing that you would say there may be another caution before the end of this race.
Well, I think there's no question the best car on the racetrack right now is the 18. The question is there enough time? Not only does he have to try to catch Matt Kenseth, but he still has to dispose of the 4 of Kevin Harvick and the 78 of Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, you mentioned another caution. Listen, the final green stretch has come in 11 laps or less in 5 of the last 7 races here. So numbers tell us that it's quite possible we will see another caution. It's amazing how these things repeat themselves. History repeats itself in the number of cautions.
And we'll see Kevin Harvick does the same thing. See, these drivers know. They know, look, he has fresher tires. He's coming by with 19 to go. I can't afford to, make contact, have a flat tire myself. That's only helping Kyle Busch get back up through the field.
Well, I'm going to tell you who wish they weren't so nice and weren't so, respectful of him and trying to make sure they have a good race and not a problem is Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth needs them to hold up Kyle Busch if he's going to win this race, because Kyle Busch is a good 2 to 3 tenths a lap faster.
We keep talking about the big picture that the team is talking about on the 18, and Kyle Busch moments ago, before he got around the 4 of Kevin Harvick, saying, do I go for it or just ride? They said, hey, if you think you can catch that 20, go for it. He quickly disposed of Kevin Harvick, and then the team said just that. All right, man, go for it.
Well, I think that 78 got word the 18 is coming. I wonder if he just wasn't back there cooling his rear tires for one last attack, because in the last 2 laps, he has been way faster than the leader, Matt Kenseth.
If he does get there with Matt Kenseth, though, and he gets alongside of the 20 car, guess what's going to happen? They're going to both slow down, and Kyle Busch is going to reel them in at a high rate of speed.
Top 3 running very strong. All Toyotas. Matt Kenseth, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch running well, and Toyota has done very well here on pit road. Once again, an issue. This time the 11 had an uncontrolled tire. It went into the 21 pit stall, and so they were penalized once again. I believe it's the 13th time they have been penalized on pit road.
Well, we have a wreck in the middle of 3 and 4. The 6 of Trevor Bayne has backed it into the middle. Oh, hard in the outside
hard
wall.
In the outside wall. The caution comes out again.
You can fire it up, bring it to him.
Trevor Bayne into the wall. The caution comes out. Who has the advantage now? Kyle Busch with the fresher tires?
My right rear went down or something.
Well, another thing that just happened right there, the 3 car of Austin Dillon, he's going to get the free pass, so that's going to put him back in the lead lap. Another Chase guy has earned himself back in the lead lap, but who has the advantage? That's a tough one. I think the 18 was in good shape there. I think the 8 that was all rolling down where the 18 was going to have time to get by these leaders. It now will come down to a restart, and who has the best restart, and what happens side by side. You can see Trevor Bayne coming to our screen. He's already turned around backwards. You heard him say he felt like he had a tire go down. Something happened to the race car, so I don't think any contact with another driver based on what he said, but hard impact.
He was running 25th a lap down and trying to drive it back to pit road. And so now somebody mentioned something about cautions coming late at this racetrack.
My favorite graphic.
Last 5 races.
We told you, Rick.
You take a look today in the first half of the race, only 1 caution, and already in the second half of the race, 4.
And I am going to go out on a limb with a lot of confidence that there'll be 5, or at least 5, because I think with 15 to go and what's on the line, not just the win, but the restart is going to be crazy. And some cars are deciding to come get fresh tires.
Just 15 to go. We go to Mike.
And Jimmie Johnson is one of those takers for fresh tires. They'll take 4 here. No fuel, just tires. Trying to use that fresh rubber, trying to make up as many positions as possible. Every position counts here in this first round if you are to ensure your advancement to round 2. Marty?
Mike, Joey Logano got the free pass, and the car's handling the best it's handled all day long, so they're going to see what 4 fresh Goodyear tires do here for that 22. This team has made a living off rallying and manufacturing finishes. Let's see if they can get another top 10 out of this one today.
So from 10th back, guys came to pit road. We'll see how those fresh tires affect this restart. Next week, NASCAR is on NBCSN at the Monster Mile. Saturday, Xfinity Series, that's race 2 of the chase. Coverage starts at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, it's an elimination race for the Sprint Cup Series. That coverage beginning at 1:30 p.m. We will find out who will advance to the round of 12.
So, Rick, we have a lot of differing strategies. So you see right here, the 20 and the 78, they got about 50 laps. So look right behind them, the 18 of Kyle Busch, 35-lap fresher tires on the 18. You look back a little farther, Brad Keselowski has fresher tires, but it's just not this group. You go to the second page from 11th to 20th. We have the 11, the last car in old tires, but Jeff, Casey Kane, the 31 of Ryan Newman, the 21. A lot of points can be shifted here with only 12 laps to go.
That's right. A lot of guys trying to earn their way into the chase have fresh tires behind them. They're going to have to fight hard not to lose these spots.
Kenseth once again has chosen the outside line.
Great restart by Matt Kenseth.
Look at Kyle Busch jumping out of line. He has to get by Truex quickly, and he does.
How about Kevin Harvick on the outside, also taking advantage of that outside line, and he moves up to second.
The 18 went through half of that corner on the apron. Wasn't even on the racetrack.
Difficult restart for the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. And he has dropped back all the way to fighting for 4th now with Brad Keselowski, and Keselowski takes 4th away from him.
Well, that's the struggle now. Now he's on the oldest tires and back in traffic. It's going to be very hard to defend. I think right now it's all about Kyle Busch. Does he have enough time to get by Harvick and Kenseth? This heat cycle, cooling these older tires, I think has helped Matt Kenseth.
Kenseth has a pretty good gap between he and Kevin Harvick as they go down into turn 3, and around goes Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming out of 2. 17 was around as well as the 55, and so Reed Sorensen and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. bring out the caution. Under 10 laps to go.
This will give Kyle Busch another shot at that restart. That last restart for Matt Kenseth, he brought him in slow and got a great acceleration. I won't call it games, but strategies. Jeff, there's different strategies to the drivers. You can't show your hand. You have to come up with a different way, kind of alternate how you want to accelerate out of that restart zone.
Yeah, he fooled the 78 for sure, did a great job. We see everybody battling right here. The 17 and 27 look like made contact, sent the 17 around. So we talked about people coming in and putting tires, others not putting on tires. The result of that was Denny Hamlin had gone all the way back to 18th. Jamie McMurray 16th. So those guys not having tires, people coming behind them. Now what do, Steve? Do they come in and try to put tires, or do they just keep trying to stay in the spot and hold the best they can?
18. I'm not sure if they are what they want to cheer for, because I think this caution helps the 18. I think it lets them line up third with a chance to accelerate. We saw in the last restart he was down 3 wide getting into turn 1, so I know they were disappointed, but I think this helps as we see the 1 of Jamie McMurray. He decides he needs to get tires, Mike.
And Jamie McMurray, another one of those drivers looking for fresh rubber, trying to pick up as many spots as he possibly can here in the closing laps. 4 tires and fuel for Jamie McMurray as he pits here, trying to pick up a lot of ground with just 8 laps remaining. It's going to be interesting to see how much ground he can gain.
I want to listen into Kevin Harvick and the team communication on this last restart. This is what the 4 team had to say.
Who got penalized, the 20 or the 78? 20 slowed down, 78 was in front of him. Who got the penalty? Slow down going into the restart zone.
So you listen to that, and Kevin Harvick, you had mentioned kind of the gamesmanship being played. Take a look at this restart and how the 20 and the 78 come into the restart zone.
Well, it's hard without having the GPS to decide their actual speed. I know Kevin Harvick thought the front 2 slowed down, but I heard the RPM of Kevin Harvick's build up before they got to the thing, so he had to be going faster.
And we'll try again. On the outside, oh, I'm sorry, this is the replay. You'll see the speeds.
I mean, I see Kenseth down at 43, so he might have slowed down 2 miles an hour, but in my mind, that's maintaining pace car speed. When you're within 2 miles an hour of the pace car, I'm okay with that. I think naturally these cars roll in there faster. So just Matt Kenseth saying, I'm not going to roll in there faster, seemed like they were slowing down.
Let's listen to Matt Kenseth and their radio as far as what they had to say about the restart.
Okay, well, I need to look at the little speed on TV. I think they'll think different. He just started going first throttle. We weren't even in the zone yet, so obviously I'm going to wait until he has to slow up so I can go first.
So there you go. He said he thought Martin Truex started to go partial throttle when he started to build speed. So Kenseth said, I don't have to go right now. I'm going to wait. I'm going to make you slow down when you get into that zone. When he saw the 78 slow down, then he accelerated. So that's Matt Kenseth using all those years of experience to make sure he got this restart.
To be clear, Rick, when the pace car pulls off, the leader must maintain speed all the way to the zone and then accelerate anywhere within the zone. Those are all the options that the 20 of Matt Kenseth has.
Race leader Matt Kenseth has chosen the outside line once again. Kevin Harvick will be on the inside as they come into the restart zone. Great restart for both the 20 and the 4. And here comes the 18 looking to the inside. Down the back stretch they go. Kevin Harvick, now the advantage. Matt Kenseth on the outside. Kenseth up the racetrack. Harvick takes the lead.
And Kenseth's got to try to fight back. You saw Matt try to cross over, try to get back underneath the 4 car. Couldn't make it happen.
Kevin Harvick, after being trapped down a lap almost the entire race at Chicagoland, is now fighting back, looking for his first win of the round of 16 in 2016. Under 5 laps of racing to go. Kevin Harvick out front, Matt Kenseth chasing. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch, Martin Truex Jr., the top 6.
And all this opportunity for Kevin Harvick happened on the restart. What a great job of timing his acceleration right with Matt Kenseth and racing him down into turn 1. Now he has to hold him off for 4 laps.
Out of 4, 3 laps to go. Kevin Harvick out in front. It's been a long time since Kevin Harvick has been able to find victory lane at this racetrack. 10 years. His only win came back in 2006.
And Rick, think about last year's chase. They have an issue in Chicago. Come here, have the dominant car, and run out of gas with 2 to go. They went to Dover in a must-win situation. Can they alleviate that pressure this year and win in race 2 of the first round?
2 more.
Kevin Harvick, 2014 champion. Their first year together with Rodney Childers at Stewart-Haas Racing. They go on and do the unthinkable, win the championship in their first year together. Now looking to advance out of the round of 12. Kevin Harvick out in front of the 20 of Matt Kenseth. The white flag goes in the air. 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. The gap, 6 car lengths. Kevin Harvick has done it perfectly today. The final restart. He gets the advantage on Matt Kenseth. Kevin Harvick on his way to the round of 12 as he comes out of turn number 4. Harvick will win at the Magic Mile.
Yeah! Way to go, guys! Awesome job.
The 100th start
all day, man. That's a hell of a job. Good job, guys.
With Stewart-Haas Racing, and already his 11th win with that team.
Awesome job. Awesome job.
Kevin Harvick, after being outside the top 12 in points after Chicagoland, eliminates that problem. As he comes onto pit road, they'll check the lug nuts. He'll make his way to victory lane. What a day it has been for Kevin Harvick. And an opportunity loss for Matt Kenseth. Had the lead on the final restart. As Kevin will celebrate with his team. Make his way back out onto the racetrack to, I'm sure, celebrate with the fans. Harvick celebrating at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. This moment presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long. Definitely one of the best at restarts, and he showed it there as far as on the inside of Matt Kenseth, was able to accelerate almost door to door as they entered turn 1 and then stayed there.
That was the whole key to him winning this race. Matt Kenseth did a great job on the restart before. This time, Kevin Harvick just matched him. Just entered turn 1 side by side with him. Didn't have to gain. I mean, when you're on the inside and you have to pace yourself to the leader, if you can just break even, enter turn 1 side by side with him, that is like winning that restart. So Kevin Harvick did a great job. That's what put him in position to take the lead getting into the race.
And the smoke rolls out behind the 4. And there goes the tires. I believe that's called burning them off.
celebrations just how much these race wins mean. This system, a win and you advance. Think the pressure he was under last year at Dover, to have to win to advance to the round of 12, to get that pressure off his shoulders. A race earlier this year has to mean a lot to Kevin Harvick and this entire team.
Huge win for Kevin Harvick. He will advance to the round of 12 after winning Loudon, New Hampshire, Hampshire Motor Speedway. And there's the elation of the Ford team, and he burns it down. We'll hear from him next. In a career that has included 34 wins, Kevin Harvick celebrating a championship in 2014 and now has taken a step closer to his second championship in the Sprint Cup Series as he celebrates at Victory Lane. Dave?
Time for Kevin Harvick to get out and celebrate. Last week, he finished 20th. Today, he defeats the 20 in the late going to take his 4-car to Victory Lane. What a day. And you were so excited about having the outside line in earlier restarts. There at the end, you had the inside. How'd you get by him?
Yeah, just, you know, before we get started, I just want to thank everybody from Ditech Outback, Jimmy John's, Bush Beer, Hum Brothers, Mobile One, Morton Buildings, everybody who is at the shop working on all these Stewart-Haas racing cars. Bad Boy Buggies sponsor the race today. It's fun to have them here, Chevrolet. And just, man, that worked out really good. My car was pretty good on the restarts, and once we got clean air there at the end, wound up being really good out front. So just really proud of our team. They did a great job. On we go.
Kevin, did voicing your opinion about the previous restart motivate you at the end to get that best one?
I just, you know, we talk about that stuff all the time, and, you know, I think, you know, for me, it was just a smooth restart. I just didn't want to spin the tires. I don't know what happened to him or if I just timed it right, but worked out good when we got to turn one.
What about the turnaround last week after being 20th and having a bad day coming to Victory Lane here?
Yeah, you know, that was just a game of inches last week. We wound up getting a lap down there, and you know, I had a good car. I had a 5th or 6th place car, and just wound up not where we needed to be at the end of the day. But all in all, we wound up where we were, where we should have been last year or this year.
Yeah, you don't have to go to Dover and win this time. What does that feel like?
It's definitely going to be nice, but one of our main goals this year was to not stress ourselves out so bad. I mean, I feel like the performance of the car and the things that we're doing are good enough to be competitive, and we just need to not make mistakes and go from there.
So how's the heart rate now?
I'm just excited. I was content with where we were, but once you get up there in the front like that, you got to take a chance to try to win.
He hit all his marks. His guys were encouraging him home, and Kevin Harvick is through to the round of 12.
Keelan's going to give him a little hug and congratulate Delana, wife in there, and Victory Lane as well, as they will celebrate. And again, it's the 100th start with Stewart-Haas Racing. You take a look at the career of Kevin Harvick with RCR, Richard Childress Racing, the first 466 races for him, 23 wins, obviously very impressive. But things have escalated quickly with Kevin Harvick once he moved over to Stewart-Haas Racing. As I mentioned before, a win in his first ever full season with them, a championship, I mean, in the first ever full season, and now an 11th win in his 100th start.
Well, and Rick, you said this, never been eliminated in this chase format. This year 3, he can say that again. He has moved himself onto the round of 12. So in 2 years, and this being the third in this format, he's always made the championship 4 in Miami. He's checked round of 16 off the list.
This guy, as soon as his team got hooked up together, they immediately started running in the front. It's amazing how quickly it came together. And then look today, after everything that happened today, the big loser in my eyes was Jamie McMurray. He ran well all day long. He's down in 13th. Got caught on a bad pit strategy, just was not able to get tires on when he needed to get tires, lost a lot of spots, ended up finishing 19th. Now he's down in 13th.
Just moments ago, Mike Massaro caught up with Matt Kenseth.
Well, the winning streak at New Hampshire is over for Matt Kenseth, but a very strong run nonetheless. Take me through those final restarts.
Yeah, we were pretty good today. These guys did a good job. We just didn't get that last adjustment in and got loose trying to hold off Martin. The 78 was a fair amount better than we were, and I just burned the right rear off trying to hold them off. So last restart's my fault. The one before that I thought I did right, and it towered down. They thought I slowed up before I restarted or something. So the last one, I let Kevin lay back on me, which we're supposed to be side by side. I should have known better. I should have just went really late in the zone and wait till he had to get up to my nose, because he anticipated it just right. He laid back, and plus I spun the tires, and so I got beat through 1 and 2, and then it was over.
Still pretty solid opening 2 races here in this first round. How do you feel about things going to Dover, an elimination race?
Well, I mean, you always want to win. I thought we had a top 2 or 3 car today, and we didn't win. They put me in position to do that, and I let them down there, so I feel bad about that. But yeah, we ran good last week. We ran decent today too. So we'll just go to Dover and try to race them there.
Thanks for your time.
Yep.
Matt Kenseth, second in New Hampshire.
A third place finish for Kyle Busch, but Kyle certainly looked like the fastest car there towards the end of the race. If not for that final caution, how'd you like your chances of getting to victory lane?
I think there was a couple cautions there that kind of hurt us, but overall, this M&M's Camry was really strong today. Adam and the guys did a really good job, and there from the beginning in the spring when we were here, we struggled on those late restarts, and there again, we restarted on the bottom, which should have been a struggle, but we actually were able to hold our position, so that was good, and just wish we were ever able to have a restart on the top. That might have been a little bit of a difference for us, and being able to get up there and race with those guys that were farther up front. But overall, good day, and this is 2 solid days, 2 top 10s, so it gives us in the amount of numbers of points that we need to hopefully be able to get through the next round in Dover. Don't have to do anything crazy there, just hopefully be able to go out there, have a good smooth race. But thank everybody from Toyota and NOS, Energy Drink, Interstate Batteries, Snickers, Skittles, and we'll keep fighting it and keep transferring through.
Kyle, there was a phrase I heard used over and over, big picture. Well, big picture, and you're talking numbers, 33-point cushion headed to Dover. How do you like that picture?
We've seen anything happen in this business, so I don't like it very much at all, but it certainly is better than having a 1-point cushion. So, there's pluses and minuses in this business, but man, anything can happen. We saw with the 48 last year, they had issues at Dover. We've had issues before, and we've been able to make our way through, or we've been knocked out in years prior. So you just got to go and fight it out, and again, try to keep track of that big picture and do what you need to do to move on.
Thanks, Kyle.
Yep.
And now everyone will be looking forward to the elimination race at Dover. Harvick gets the win here. It's time now for the NASCAR America post-race show with Chris Devoda, Dale Jarrett, and Kyle Petty.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast.